It's going.
It's
Hooray.
going.
It's happening. We're here.
Cool.
Who wants to intro this?
I don't know. Maria, do you want to do it?
Maria, would you like to?
I'll give it a shot again.
Hell yeah.
Woo-woo.
I believe in you.
Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? This is the Slappin Kpop podcast. It is your girl, Maria. She's back, and I'm here with the usuals, aka the 96 line, gang gang. We got Kayla.
Hello.
And we got Sammi.
Hi.
And we're gonna have some fun today, y'all.
So
we're gonna
much
be basic.
fun.
We're gonna be so
much
basic, and
fun.
we're gonna talk about Squid Game. But we're also not gonna be that completely basic and talk about our issues with Squid Game. Even though two of us hate it, and one of us actually still thinks it's pretty entertaining. So this will be a party.
Here's the thing. Kayla and I don't hate it.
I don't hate it as much as I did, like, after
Like, when I
initial
first
watch
watched it.
through, yeah.
Oh, a twist. I didn't know this.
Initial watch through. So, here's the thing. I would say all three of us, to varying degrees, are K-drama fans. And that's a demographic of people who I don't see talk about Squid Game that much, which is the fact that we have watched, Maria, you've watched a couple K-dramas in your time.
Yes, I have. Not that many, though, as you two, but a few here and there, you know.
Kayla, you've watched more.
Yep.
And I've seen...
Like 400.
Hey. I'm at like 280, thank you very much. Mixing that with C-dramas and Thai dramas, but, like, thank you for the call-out, folks.
Hey, you're passionate about your Asian shows.
I
so
like
you get it, girl.
Look, I have a slight... I feel like I can speak on this
You
topic.
can also, like, multitask when you do them, too, which helps to, like, get through them faster, too. You're not just, like, sitting there and watching them.
No. I need... These shows do not require full attention. Trust me. Even Squid Game does not require full attention.
It does not. I think my big problems with Squid Game come more so from, like, than the actual show itself. I have more problems with, like, the public response to it and just the, like, completely incorrect interpretations by, like, the Western media and just a lot of things involving that.
Actually, now that you mention it, I guess that's essentially what our issues with Squid Game kind of come down to, is the interpretation and reception, and then the aspects of the show itself. So should we start talking about
the aspects of the show itself is presented well. I think that the interpretation of the show has been, I find, very misinterpreted. With certain parts of it have been misinterpreted because of cultural
because people are looking
well.
because it became so popular in the, like, West. People are interpreting it in the eyes of, like, Western media and Western culture, and this is a Korean show.
You gotta
interpret any interpretation you're making from it based on that is just wrong.
You need to interpret it based on what you know about current modern day South Korea, if anything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because it is unfair to hold this to scrutiny of an American standard when none of this was made by Americans, nor is it. It is. We'll talk about the audience that this was made for slightly.
Yeah.
But was it made for a Western audience? I think
in a way,
than your average
yes,
K-drama.
Definitely more than an average K-drama.
More so than the average K-drama. But was it entirely made for a Western audience? No. I think you need to have a basis, and I think that that's the problem. The other thing is, in my personal issue with the show itself, is I feel like the show has a great message, has a great a lot of parts of it. I feel like it undercuts its core message time and time again, multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that that's a big problem with it, of just, like, you cannot commit to what you're doing.
It has a problem where
it has twists.
It has too many loopholes in the plot, where the more you think about it, the less it makes sense.
Yeah.
Not just that, but it's also not, because my thing is, I've seen a lot of K-dramas, as Kayla called me out on recently.
She has.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes, my biggest thing with it is, oh, but K-dramas are unrealistic, that wouldn't happen. And my answer to that is, I don't care, I'm having fun watching this. Or I'm invested, or I'm emotionally... Because that's the thing, K-dramas always have loopholes. That's the thing about these dramas, they're very short. You have maybe 16 episodes. If you're doing a C-drama, you have more. But you'll always have loopholes. You'll always have plot holes, you'll always have all of it.
It won't make complete sense.
But if the show is interesting enough, the show's interesting enough, my answer is, well, it's a K-drama, it's fiction, I don't care.
Yeah.
The fact that, and And the problem with this show is that while I was watching it, and Kayla can attest to this because I was watching this with her, is that while I was watching it, I was picking up on the plot holes and just saying them out loud as they happened.
They're very obvious. Very obvious plot holes.
Very obvious.
Actually...
And also, like, I was not immersed enough in the story that I could, like, turn the brain off and just enjoy it for what it was.
Actually, now...
Because it's...
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something that, like, if it's in retrospect, I can sort of, like, be like, yeah, sure, that's fine. Like, perfect example of this, Strong Woman Do Byung-soon. Very much a K-drama. It makes no sense that she is that strong.
No sense.
It doesn't.
No sense.
No.
But do I care?
Not really.
And ultimately, how she got the powers and how she has it and how it works doesn't really matter at all to the main storyline.
The entire storyline of spoilers for that show. Skip 30 seconds if you don't want spoilers.
Too late. Whatever.
Whatever. That show's been out for like 3 years.
It's been out a long time.
Care. But the entire plot with the serial killer, that plot makes no sense if you think about it for 2 seconds. But
it also doesn't make sense that it's even really there in the show to begin with.
Do I care?
Hold up, what?
No, I had a great time watching it.
There's a serial killer in that show?
There's a serial
That's like
killer
one of the main
show.
plot lines of Strong Woman So Long Soon as a
like,
serial.
what cereal do they kill? Frosted Flakes? Like, the fuck? Like, no, seriously. There's an... Why?
I don't know if he's a serial killer, but he's a... I don't know if he's a serial killer. He's a serial kidnapper.
Whatever. He tries to kill her at the end. I'm gonna call him a serial killer.
Oh, God.
Serial kidnapper, serial killer, whatever. But, like, there's that guy. His storyline makes no sense. Do I care?
No, it doesn't matter.
Did it make no sense? Was I like being able to put the plot?
The overall plot of the show doesn't require you to think about it, like.
And I was very invested in all of that. This show, on the other hand, I was like, the plot holes are getting worse.
While we're at it, let's talk about the plot holes. Let's talk about these specific plot holes, because I need to
go. Do you want to do that this way? Do you want to just talk about, because there's like 3 main plots in this show.
Yeah.
Do you want to do them one at a time? Like, do the game.
Yeah. Let's.
Do
the cop.
Game, do the organ harvesting, and do the cop.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Those are the big 3, I'd say. Yeah.
Those are the big 3, and they all kind of interconnect.
Yeah.
But I think we should just go through them one at a time. Let's start with the main plot.
The game. Let's start with the game first. So
we are introduced to these people, the main players of the Squid Game.
Yep.
Do you want to start going? Anyone want to introduce us to, I guess, the main, like, 5 or 6?
Yeah, the main, like, ones that they focus on throughout the majority of the show, I would say, with obviously a few people here and there. Game player wise, our big main character is Son Gi-hoon. He's our main character throughout this whole entire thing.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Terrible.
So he
was a chauffeur,
addict,
has a gambling
lives
addiction.
With his mom, who has a daughter, divorced, has PTSD from the fact that he was in a union strike and then watched one of his coworkers be beaten by police, and that also caused him to miss the birth of his daughter, which led to his divorce, which led to his gambling addiction, which led to him
stealing money from his mom.
Is steal money from his elderly mother.
Yeah.
So I think that in theory, this guy, one, he's a bad, like, he's not a great guy. He's kind of a deadbeat.
Yeah.
By kind of, I mean, is a deadbeat. And I think that there's a storyline that can be told with this character. I don't think they tell it.
They don't. They really don't.
Because by the end, I think he is the same person as when he starts.
He definitely tries in certain aspects, like with, for example, Se-byuk's brother, but like...
Dude, it takes him a year to get there.
Exactly.
After the game
It took him a year.
It takes him a full year.
It takes him a full year, and also, I don't think it... Fundamentally, he seems like a deadbeat who's good at heart, right? Nothing of what he does... Like, we'll get to how he acts through the whole game, and it leads to my last point, which is the fact that he doesn't really do anything in this show. Other people do it for him.
He gets through by luck, a lot of
that.
There is one situation where he actually has
with the umbrella.
The umbrella.
Yeah, that's all he's got.
Every other situation he gets there by luck or by the kindness of others.
Yeah.
And that is a great theme, and I think that leads to the overall theme of capitalism and all of that. But I do not think. I think that
even the capitalism theme, I feel like, is kind of weak in some ways, though.
It depends on things.
It depends on the character, because I feel like with 2 in particular, it really makes sense.
I think
with the rest of them, I feel like a lot of, which I feel like ties into him, but I feel like it ties into like
it has such strong theming of anti-capitalistic, and I think it makes perfect sense in that way of the idea that we have choice, the idea of like all of that, and but the fact. Because at the end, so we're gonna be all over the place. This is gonna be somewhat chronological, but we're gonna be really all over.
This is gonna be a spider web.
When Gi-hoon decides to turn around and go stop the Squid Game, my first thought is, what are you gonna do? Because you didn't do anything this entire show. So
nothing.
What are you gonna do?
You had money, granted, but still,
he's got money now. But he did give like a lot of it to the people he promised it to. Yeah, but it took him a year. Also took him a year to get to that point anyway.
Yeah, also left a small child in a, like, orphanage for a year for no reason.
Yeah.
Also, I do agree, his daughter better off without him in her life.
Probably better off.
Honestly, for the best that he's not gonna go back to
like, I understand now more why her stepdad was just totally like, leave us the fuck alone.
Get the fuck out of here.
Okay, so as someone who comes from divorced parents and has sort of, like, my parents have this, like, there's complicated situations. My thing is just like, a lot of people look down on the stepfather for what he did. I'm sorry, you walk in on your wife's ex-husband in the house just begging her for money. Probably does not seem like the first time he has done this. And like, he like is kind of a deadbeat, doesn't remember much about their kid, like gives her a lighter that looks like a gun for her birthday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think the stepdad's in the right. He's like, let her be.
And it's like, you just need to leave now. Like, here is the money. I think you need to leave.
Yeah.
Fair. Because your daughter probably does not need to be exposed to this.
No.
She's like
absolutely
7.
Not.
Like, I completely understand him.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to move on to
Sungwoo?
I guess
he's our next guy.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about him?
He is a childhood friend of Gi-hoon, and he essentially is here because he's a lot of embezzlement problems, because he would steal money from his own clients and is in like billions of won in debt because of that. Yep. He's also a pretty shitty person.
He is a shitty person.
He is a really shit person.
He mortgaged off his mother's store.
Yeah, but like, in a way,
rude.
How is that any worse than stealing directly from your mom's bank account? Like,
both of them
are shit. They treat their moms like shit,
both
of them.
Oh my god, those poor moms.
Yeah.
I feel bad for those poor moms.
Mm-hmm.
But like, his storyline does go along with Gi-hoon's storyline, and they're both out. And I think we can talk more about saying, I have very little to say about him now. I'll have more to say as we go through the games. Do you want to skip the cop?
Let's skip the cop for now.
Yeah, we can do the cop storyline in one go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So then we have
I'll talk about her.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Maria.
I'll put it this way. Honestly, she probably may be the best character in this whole show.
Probably. I would say probably yes.
She is the best character.
And I say, okay, so this might be a lot of praise. I've seen, this actress, model now turned actress, first time, like her first thing ever. And I think she did a solid job for what the character was.
It was fine.
It was good.
I've seen better though. She doesn't do a lot, really. She doesn't really do a lot.
She's very much the quiet type of, like, she has those fun moments sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the scene where they're like both her and Gi-hoon are both tied up.
Yeah,
that was a fun scene.
That was fun.
That's fine. But like,
like when she pulls a knife on the crazy woman.
Yeah.
She puts her in their place. She has some interesting interactions with people throughout the show.
Interactions at red light, green light. That was fun.
Yeah.
She trips him. That's fun.
Yeah.
But is it like Emmy nominated? Oh my god, she's the best thing ever.
That would be Kim Tae-ri in The Handmaiden. That's Emmy nominated type of first time performance. If you ever seen that movie, The Handmaiden, you know why. This is okay. This is not bad.
This is fine.
But I will say, I do feel for her. I feel for her character the most because if you know anything about anyone who has escaped North Korea in general, there is essentially it's one of the being a citizen in North Korea is probably one of the worst things you could be in this world, period, at the moment. So there's a lot of, like, when you know, like, of the context of this character and, like, the situation she gets into with, you know, with Squid Game and whatnot, it's just very sad.
She's one of the very few people
you just feel terrible for her.
Actually has a reason to be there.
Yeah, that we know, who we know.
Actually,
yeah.
No. We know the reason for a lot of people to be there.
Yeah.
Hers is one of the few that I understand.
That makes sense.
That makes sense for her to risk it for this.
Literally, because she's had to, like, risk her life in general. So.
Well, here's the other thing with that is, and I find that this show, and this is probably unfair, but I think it's probably a little unfair for this specific situation, but I just think that making her a North Korean defector was just really... They don't do much with it. They don't do all that much with her being a North Korean defector. It's very rarely brought up. It's very much like a thing in, like, the corner that, like... And it's just... It seems like just kind of easy sympathy.
It's a really small part of her character, and she doesn't have a lot of character traits that really relate back to the fact that she's a North Korean.
I mean, they do have her speaking to her brother in the dialect, like her motivation for certain things.
That was a 15-second scene.
Kind of.
We saw that once.
But it does explain a lot, though, for why she's doing what she's doing, because of the lack of support for them, like, in general.
I feel like you could take away the fact that she's a North Korean defector and make that her brother's just in an orphanage because, like, her parents are dead, and she'd be the same person. Like, it adds, like, not a lot to her character.
North Korea, bad, hard to get out of, but also
very hard to get out of.
Please, do your own research about that. There's dozens of videos. From
Yeonmi Park's a good one. She's a good YouTube channel to look into that. I need to read her book at some point.
Yeah, there are people far more qualified.
World of Dave has done an interview with a girl who has done that, and it has also served as like a reference for like Crash Landing on You to like how to depict like North Korea and everything.
North Korea.
So I think she is really interesting. If you want an actual
pretty good depiction, apparently, of North Korea, Crash Landing on You, also on Netflix. That show's pretty good.
Wild to say.
Actually pretty good.
I did. That's a pretty good show.
But yeah, TLDR to get out of North Korea, it's very limited. You have either the oceans on either side or South Korea DMZ, which is notoriously hard. And most of the time you go through China. Pretty much everyone, will deport you back to North Korea, except for...
You have to pay a broker to get you out.
You have to pay a broker, and then you can get assaulted, especially if you're a woman, unfortunately, because that tends to happen in these situations. And then your best bets to actually try to get asylum anywhere is most likely either Mongolia or Thailand. Thailand, you got to go through a couple countries who typically side with China in terms of deporting North Koreans back.
Yep.
So either way, you have a long journey either way, and you can get caught throughout.
It's hard.
You're
very
screwed.
Hard.
But luckily, South Korea sees you as a citizen, so once you get to a safe location, you can get essentially deported to South Korea.
Yeah.
That's the thing is, you're still gonna have to figure out how to get there. Is the biggest problem.
In other words, it's one of the hardest journeys anyone in this universe right now can take to just literally get the freedom.
That's the thing. But again, I think that we know this. Most people don't know this. And the thing is, Koreans know this. Which is why I think that this show is still a K-drama in that sense. Wherein,
I think the fact of that just because of the entire Squid Game are based off of very Korean traditional like childhood games also makes the show very Korean, just like at its core as well.
Which is good.
So next we have Il-nam. He's an old man. He fucking sucks. Like, he's terrible.
I hate this old man. So here's the thing.
He totally fucks with you, dude.
Here's the thing. From the beginning, I've seen people be like, "Oh, I love this old man," and I watch Red Light, Green Light when you meet him, and I'm like, "There's
this old man looks suspicious as hell." Like immediately,
I'm like, "What?" maybe it's because we've seen, like, is this I don't think K-dramas normally have suspicious
They
old
don't
men.
have, like, creepy, suspicious old man. Like, that's not a
maybe
character
it's my
trope.
horror movie knowledge, but I'm like,
Yeah.
who the fuck's this old man? I don't trust this old man. And I was right.
Also, the way that
Don't
he just,
trust the
like,
old man.
smiles is, like, super creepy.
Weird.
Like,
It's sus.
he's, like, unsettling.
And Gi-hoon falls for it,
Yeah.
clearly.
He does. Everyone falls for it. It's so sus.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, maybe it's just the whole, old man weak. He can't be that powerful.
Yeah. I mean, I think that
That's
Haha.
Joke's on you. He started the game, bitch.
So I'm gonna skip
Out of boredom.
Yeah.
Out of boredom.
Out of boredom. Oof. I'm gonna skip the
Jesus.
next person. We'll talk about the last two later, but we have Ali, who's a foreign worker from Pakistan who joins the games because he's got a wife and child and baby.
And his
Specifically a
employers
baby.
did not
Or
pay him
withholding
He didn't
for
get
about
workers'
Which is okay.
compensation for, like, an injury.
And also,
Yeah.
I think his employers are just withholding his wages as well.
Yeah.
That's actually quite common if you're a foreign worker in anywhere.
Yeah.
That's a thing
Yeah.
that happens, and that sucks.
That is,
not
like,
reality.
it's a common theme I see in a lot of, like, crime-based K-dramas, is, like, there's
Yeah.
almost always a storyline of, like, exploitation of, like, foreign workers there.
Oh yeah, constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Which basically implies it happens a lot in
Oh,
Korea,
yeah.
which is very
Oh yeah,
unfortunate.
but like it happens a lot
But yeah.
here. It
Oh,
happens
yeah.
a lot everywhere.
Really, it's a
Like,
world, it's a global problem.
It's a global
Yes.
issue. It's a very big global issue. Then we have Doksu, who's the gangster.
He's a gangster. That's all
Thug
you really
life.
need to know about him.
He's a pretty consistent character in terms of how slimy and shitty he is. And
He is.
yeah, he
And
gets
then
in
we
trouble because of his own. We got crazy bitch, Han
have cr-
Minyo.
Yep, and she is crazy.
Crazy person.
There's no
Claims to be a
other
poor
word.
single mother. No one believes
No
that,
one,
basically.
I have no idea. We know her and
That could
her
be
and Mako-
She has
She-
cigarettes shoved up her crotch. Like, that's ratchet.
Yeah,
I'm
she
sorry.
does bring like things just shoved up her hoo-ha. And I'm like, what the hell?
Also, like, she could just be like a compulsive
She could
liar.
be
Like,
crazy.
I don't know if she's a
She
single
is
mother.
crazy.
I don't know if I believe that.
That poor
Probably
child.
not.
That poor
But
child.
her and the
all I'm
gangster
gonna
boy
say.
decide to have a fling, I guess,
We'll
and that's the
talk
closest thing to
about that.
romance we got in
I
this
don't
whole
understand why these were
story.
the people we needed to see like a extended sex scene from, but that's what we got.
Mind you, that's a thing where I'm just like, why? This is definitely
But
not just
why?
marketing. This is the marketing to the American audience because no K-drama have extended sex
No,
scenes
that
like
they
this.
don't have
It's
that.
not a thing.
They don't have
Why are
that.
we
Not really,
watching
except for
this?
like the only time you see extended sex scenes, I feel, in Korean media is like some like more art housey film, aka
It's
Handmaiden.
You can get it in movies for sure, but not in your
Not
your
so much in a
typical
show. Not so
K-drama.
much in a show. No.
All right, so do you want to start with the first episode? First
Sure.
episode. Oh, we get to talk about the boy, our boy.
Now that I think about it, this was long. This
It
was
was
a
a very
long ass
long
episode.
It was.
I feel
Like, I
like
mean,
the
like, it
first
felt
two
long, though.
episodes feel very
felt-
long.
yeah.
Because this and then the whole mucking around before they go back into the game, I felt was such a drag.
It's really
It
a
was
drag.
so long.
It's such a drag.
They probably could have been cut
All right,
a little,
so
like a little bit
Gi-hoon.
shorter.
Gi-hoon
Yeah.
kind of sucks as a person. Then
does.
he meets
Gong
our
Yu,
boy,
we meet Gong Yu
Gong
in the
Yu
subway.
for his 5-minute cameo in this show.
hmm
How does Gong Yu end up in these situations?
I don't know what he's doing here.
So-
He basically is the face for Squid Game in public.
He
I
is.
guess they need one fall guy.
And also, like, in terms of, because we'll talk about, I think at the end we need to just talk about the public reception of Squid Game.
hmm
Yeah.
He kind of, he is treated as if he is a main character of this show. He is not. He's in 5
No, he's
minutes
not.
of this
He's here
show.
for like maybe like a total of like 7 minutes, and that's like a little bit generous.
But he is the reason why everyone gets into Squid Game, essentially.
Yeah.
Kind of, sure.
He
so
basically
he
is
is in
the
the subway,
reason.
and they're,
Yeah.
Kayla, do you want to explain the game they're playing?
So they're playing Dakchi. Dakchi is a pretty common like children's. I guess it's a children's game, but it also gets played on a lot of Korean variety shows.
It also
Like-
just gets played by, like, it just seems like a, just like a game that just, because it also feels like a dad game.
It is. It does
Dakchi
feel like
feels
a dad game. It does feel very. It got dad
kind of
vibes.
seems like cornhole or darts, where it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, every once in a while you're gonna go to a bar and you're just gonna see people playing Because I could see that. It feels like a children's game and a dad game.
Because there's like an entire Running Man episode revolved around like the King of Dakchi, where it's like you have to go around and they do all these missions to like get like the certain types of like different types of paper so they can make like the best Dakchi. It was really funny.
Essentially that, and also the fact that I feel like this show, what I will give this show is that this show has so much great imagery. Because now when I think of Dakchi, I've seen it played so many times by so many variety shows, and it's not Dakchi isn't. It does not necessarily need to be played by a blue and red envelope.
No,
but now when I think about it, I just think of the imagery of that. The imagery all around this show is very good, and so that now when I think of Dakchi, and now when you're gonna see it played on variety shows, it's gonna be played with a red and blue envelope, and that's just how it's gonna be for the rest of our lives.
I also would like to say I don't think that it's core it's like a very interesting game because literally you each have like both have a piece of paper that's like folded into a square, and essentially it has like they have two sides because one side is completely like flat and the other side has like the folds from the paper on it. You're essentially trying to throw your piece of paper like on or near the other person's piece of paper so it flips over. And it's not interesting, but on variety shows, they make this, like, the most, like, intense, like, interesting game you could ever imagine.
Variety shows can also make rock, paper, scissors the most intense thing you've ever seen in your life. Also, we'll get to it when we talk specifically about Red Light, Green Light. I have discovered something fabulous about American games, but Dakchi is, thank you for explaining, because I feel like a lot of people did not understand what the rules of that game were, because it's one of the only games where they don't explain the rules, because they're playing it on a subway, and you don't need to explain Dakchi to people who've ever seen it.
Yeah.
It is the easiest game in the world. It is easier than rock, paper, scissors. It is.
It's also, but it is a really easy game to play. It's not necessarily an easy game to win. Like, it does actually take skill to flip the paper, so it is like a skill-based game.
You do need to know what you're doing, because if you just sort of like start throwing things at the floor, you're gonna get slapped a bunch like Gi-hoon. Which again, the slapping and the money, not how you play that game. Usually that is
you don't play it, and then when you lose, you get to slap a person. That's not how it's normally played.
Now I want to go back to Gungyo for a second. So Gungyo is the face of this show. Most people in the West recognize him from Train to Busan because he's in that movie. That movie's fabulous. Love that movie. That movie's great. Don't know if it's still on Netflix. It was on Netflix. It's very good. It's one of my favorite horror movies. It is the best zombie movie in my opinion.
I think that's one of the only zombie movies that I enjoy.
Oh yeah, I hate
really
zombie movies.
Yeah.
But that one, great. I cried. Literally.
It's sad.
And I recognize him, will always first and foremost
from
recognize
Goblin?
him from Coffee Prince. First and foremost Coffee Prince.
I feel like Goblin has taken over Coffee Prince for me.
Look, for me, it's I usually go by what is the first thing I've seen you in. And for me it was Coffee Prince, then Goblin, then Train to Busan, now Squid Game. Half of those are good. Half of those are very bad.
He's got an iffy track record.
He's got a 50-50 track record right now with me.
Talk about 50-50.
He's got a, and mind you, the one I'm saying is bad is Goblin, people.
Goblin is not good.
Coffee Prince good. Goblin bad.
Yep.
That's another thing where we have
That's also a pretty controversial opinion.
Goblin is not good. People.
I do not enjoy Goblin.
But yeah, no, the man is great. So blah blah blah.
I also maybe want to just briefly, because there's two like really big celebrity cameos in here where it's like let's get in like two like really high-end actors and have them be in like 2 minutes of this entire show.
And then never appear again.
The other one is Lee Byung-hun. He is mostly I would say a big Korean film actor.
Oh yeah, he's in a bunch of
I mean, hell, he's also in Mr. Sunshine.
He's in Mr. Sunshine. I've heard that's very good. He is also in. I mean, he's been an actor since the 90s. He's in a bunch of stuff.
Oh yeah.
It's great.
It's funny because they name drop him earlier in the show too.
They do because he's a name droppable person.
He is a name droppable person.
Look at that. Oh, ironic.
You want to know what else he was in? G.I. Joe Retaliation.
He was in G.I. Joe Retaliation. That is true.
He's also in the Magnificent Seven.
We need to just get. We're all on his freaking.
It's
in Red too. Apparently, he's in a lot of American movies.
But anyway, he is
he's also in the first G.I. Joe movie. He's in all the G.I. Joes.
He's in G.I. Joe.
He's in all the G.I. Joes. It's fine.
But he plays the brother of the cop that's been searching for his whole time, who is the front man of the games. He appears, I think his actual face is there for like maybe 30 seconds total.
Yeah, no, he got paid for one day.
Yeah.
He was on set for
I would say like
day.
he got paid for like 3 hours, maybe.
Maybe. Yeah, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
He got paid for like a couple episodes.
No,
he's in 2 episodes.
No, he shows up in another episode.
He's in 2 episodes, 8 and 9, that's it.
Yeah.
He got paid for, they could have shot all of his scenes in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's the other, and then your other?
No, that was it. It's him and it's Gong Yu, or the two.
Oh, yeah, Gong Yu. Yeah. I like, both of whom have iffy careers. Big actors.
They are very big
choices.
names, but they have, made, like, very interesting career decisions.
So then, et cetera, we get Gi-han wakes up with 455 other people. Remember that there's 455 people that start this show.
This is going to be important for a point we're going to make later.
We're going to make a point later. We're going to talk about it. But they're in, essentially, a giant field? Whatever.
But it's inside.
They're inside.
No, they're in a giant, like, auditorium almost. That's almost gives you, like, sewer vibes almost.
It's a very kind of, like, gross-looking place.
But then they get shuttled out onto this field. For red light, green light.
Yeah. There's a lot of scenes in this game where it's like, it looks like it's outside, but it's inside.
Every game is inside, no matter what we say. Everything takes place indoors.
No, the red light, green light does take place outside, but it's like only the top
it's
opens.
A dome.
The rest of it, they're surrounded.
But
they're otherwise surrounded.
That's still indoors. Yeah. It's open, mostly
indoors. I would,
mostly,
it's like
but
a
like
stadium
they're
situation.
Exposed to the elements. Though.
Kind of.
The sky is above them. It could have poured rain on them if it wanted to.
I feel like these game makers knew enough to check the weather report before they start. That would have been less.
They probably also would like if it rained because it would make it more fun for them. I guess.
Sure.
I mean, for the last game, it did. One could say because it did rain. During the final.
We'll get to the last game.
Yeah,
but they're in this dirt field, and there is a robot girl, robot child. Massive
which is probably the most
child.
Iconic part of this game.
This
whole
game?
Show.
The show.
This whole
it's like
show is probably that first game.
The game, yes. I would say the most iconic image is those, the guards. The guards I see more than the
yeah,
them
and then this game.
Guards
this is the one section of the show that gets memed constantly.
Oh yeah, this gets memed constantly. So
this is a sound I cannot escape on TikTok. No matter how hard I try, it's like fucking every day. I hear.
So what I have learned, so they're playing essentially Korean red light green light.
So in Korean in Korean this game is called The Rose of Sharon Has Bloomed. That is what they are saying. That phrase in Korean that you're hearing all over as a sound. It says The Rose of Sharon Has Bloomed. Yeah.
And the thing with it is, unlike American red light, green light, where you are essentially just saying red light, green light, and with whatever interval you want, in Korean, you're saying that phrase, and when that phrase is done is when you turn around. Mm-hmm. Essentially, that's how you play it. You have more of a timed... Depending on how fast you can hear a person speaking, is you can kind of have an idea of when to stop running. Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah.
It is. I've also learned that
there's a lot of other elements with it where it's like you have to essentially they can catch people and then you line up in a line holding hands with the person who is the caller or whatever, and you can free people from that depending how risky you want to get. There's a whole other there's a lot of rules there. I don't fully understand it, but there's a lot of rules to this game.
They are playing the most simple version of
which is basic red light, green light.
Yeah. They did not bring in any of those complicated elements.
Because if you get caught moving, you get shot. That's what happens in this version.
You get killed. Yeah. You get sniped out. You are snipered out with machine guns. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, I've also learned from a TikTok sound that they did every country, every culture has a version of red light, green light. It's a very basic children's game, and whatever they say at the time changes. Most countries end up having the phrase, like the Korean one does. America really just has red light, green light because we are boring people.
Mm-hmm.
But, mind you, I saw the TikTok that was, Kayla, you've seen it too, where it's just different.
It compares it in
countries.
different languages.
It is Korean, English, French, and Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna tell you, we play the worst version of this game. It is so boring.
It's
so boring.
The
phrase is
really
very basic.
We also play the worst. We also play the worst version of rock paper scissors.
We do play the worst version of rock paper scissors.
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea that other countries have mastered how to play rock paper scissors with more than 2 people, and we're still stuck here with like, nah, you got 2x2, bitch. 2x2.
Yep.
But essentially, to start the thing of Gihan sucking at games, he actually almost dies in this game. Is only saved because Ali basically holds him up.
Yeah,
he's like
his
Hulk.
own life.
Ali is basically Hulk at this point.
To begin Gi-hoon's inevitable journey of essentially being dragged across the finish line in this I have very like, he has no agency. He doesn't do anything.
Right.
So then...
Also, got side note, interesting how they make Ali Pakistani when his actor's Indian, because India and Pakistani are not on good terms.
And also, that's just different cultures.
True,
it is just completely different cultures.
I just find that, I'm like, they don't know that India and Pakistan
they know.
kind of
I think we are giving them too little credit if they don't know that. I feel like it's not that hard to not know that.
I think it's kind of like the equivalent of
a Japanese actor playing Korean.
No, just like any American film who just casts like general Asian people to be like whatever
any
like
kind
nationality they want.
Yeah, fair.
All kinds of Asian.
Mm-hmm.
Just Asian.
I remember hearing that. I'm just like, oh, dude.
I think we're also reading too much into that.
Maybe a little.
That's a bit much. After this game, about half the people die.
Of this 400 something people,
because so many people freaked out, and obviously they were all moving, and then they all got sniped out.
Yep. Shot. It's fine.
Yep, that's what happened.
And then they finally explained it. They're like, yeah, you move after she talks, you die.
And it's like, you all know how to play this game, really. And it's now that you know people are getting shot. Like, you can't just run away.
Exactly. So then, essentially, they are allowed to, by majority vote, there's about 200 and something people left.
Yeah.
I think there's 200, because it's a 50-50, 201. Yes,
yeah.
100,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. There's about 200 people left. And essentially, they are allowed to basically leave.
Yeah.
If majority vote, everyone gets 1 vote. Yellow, red button. Yes and no. If more people vote to leave, you all get to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Go home. Live your lives. And etc. etc. It's a 50-50 vote, or 100 vote, or whatever. I forget how many people are left. And then the old man is the last person, and he votes to let everybody leave.
Which is interesting.
Again, I think that is...
Knowing that what we find out about him, I'm like, why, though?
I know. I have a theory.
What's your theory?
Again, it's all a commentary on the quote-unquote choices made under capitalism. In capitalism, you have quote-unquote choices of, like, you put yourselves into situations, right? They don't have to be here. They don't have to die. They put themselves here. Anybody that comes back put themselves there of their own choice.
I do think they want to send them home just so they can invite them back.
Just so they can invite them back, and everybody except for like 14 people come back, right?
Yeah, most of them
or something like that. I think it was like 87 people that came back or something like that.
It is the illusion of choice under capitalism, wherein like now anything that happens, well, you made the choice to come back, wherein you're not taking into account the circumstances of each person. You think it's your fault when in reality, again, you're pushed to these circumstances. Not everybody is in the same circumstances to be able to say no to an offer like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it is all a commentary on capitalism in that way, and I think that is the old man's way of being like, I wash my hands of all of the repercussions of this because it was their choice.
Yep.
It makes him feel better about himself at night.
Sure.
Whatever lets you sleep at night.
Mm-hmm.
That, and also he decided to play this game too because of the fact he
is just old and dying, so I think he figured, like, why not?
I think he said, you know what, fuck it, let's have some fun.
He has I'm not positive he has a brain tumor. He could just be old.
No, apparently that's true.
He could just be old.
He could just be, he looks about 90.
He looks real old.
He could just be old.
Yeah.
I have no idea how old this, I have no idea how
I guess
old
the character's own words were that he actually did have.
Who knows? The actor is
if he's
70.
being honest.
Okay,
if
so
he's
the
being
actor
honest.
is 76. He looks 95.
He looks way older than 76.
So
oh yeah.
They make him look so old.
Yeah,
they do.
So everybody goes home. Woo.
They find out life is pretty shit back home.
Life is still shit. You still don't have money. Everything sucks. So they all get invited back. This takes an entire episode. We've explained that in 30 seconds.
Yep.
Why did it take so long?
Yep.
Because they showed everyone's circumstances, literally,
Also,
or at least all the main characters.
It's so much. Also, apparently, Gi-hoon's mom needs surgery, which again, maybe if you didn't steal from her, you had money for it. Just saying.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Some of it that's where it gets to me, because like there is an illusion of choice, but also like a lot of these characters, say for minus maybe Sae-book and Ali, really, that you could make the argument of, a lot of them kind of got into these situations based on their own shitty choices,
and that is like
within the system.
Here's the thing.
So
and that is like the illusion of capitalism. Like, not everybody is. It's all the only thing I can decide is that there's people that say this much more eloquently than I do. I highly recommend. A lot of other podcasts have talked about how capitalism and this show work together. Look at them. We're not qualified to talk about this.
Then the most interesting thing though is that someone on Reddit made like a connection to how Squid Game itself is almost like an allegory of like communism, which I was like, whoa, all right. So
yeah, but I also think a lot of people are saying that Squid Game is an allegory for the free market. You can make Squid Game be an allegory for whatever you want if you bend it and switch it.
Yeah.
Which, again, I will tell you right now, Squid Game not an allegory for the free market. Squid Game hates capitalism. Dear God, have you not watched the show?
Oh my God. Also, while we send everyone home is when we start up the cop storyline, because we have to go inform him of things that are happening, and he's gonna secretly follow our people back to the Squid Game, so we gotta get that started.
Okay. He follows Gi-hoon back.
So do we want to just get the cop storyline out of the way right now before we?
Because it's not that interesting. It's
so the cop storyline is that there is this young cop played by, what is his name?
I don't know.
What is the cop's?
I'm on it. Hold up.
Wee Ha-joon.
Wee Ha-joon.
But the cop's name is Junho. Junho.
Yeah.
So Junho goes in. He becomes a guard, and the guards are the guys in pink with the triangle, circle, square on the helmet. That's probably.
I'd also like to say I can't look at PlayStation controllers the same anymore now because of that either.
I can't.
It's like I literally can't.
Girl.
That's fun. I'm not a gamer. I don't know.
The show? Was he? I know. I'm like, all you need to do is add next.
I know, and I was like, there it is.
Sponsored by PlayStation.
The X is all the death, Maria. Don't you know? It's all the death.
All right, there you go. Final form.
There it is. The controller. But
there's the final form.
I probably do think that if they had an X, they would probably have some type of like copyright issue on their hands. So
who knows? It is just 4 basic shapes.
Yeah.
I don't think
they are.
They're 4 basic shapes. So,
but I can't help but think about PlayStation.
That's like literally Disney right there.
Okay. So essentially, they are the guards. They are the people working the games. We get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes, which I think was a mistake, but I'll get to that. And essentially, the guards are also being watched. They also have like these very tiny like cell type rooms where they have cameras in them. And they're not allowed to show their faces. And also, they are the ones taking... So, whenever you die in the Squid Game, you get put into a gift box-style coffin that then gets burned.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Great.
Yep.
Top tier.
Yeah, cremation.
Yes. So, the cop thinks that his brother had something to do with a previous Squid Game tour. He's there to try to figure out the history of the Squid Game. This is where I really get to the worst part of this show. So... in the middle of this, he managed to get into the face because there's a masked man. Again, Lee Byung-hyun. He's there. He is who is technically under the masked man. He is the cop's brother. But before we get there, he gets into an archive of the Squid Game, and this is where I lost it. I lost it. So there is essentially a cellar. There's about 1 room of files. You get a file, and you see all the players in that Squid Game. In this Squid Game, there are 455 players, and that seems like an average Squid Game. And in the file, it appears that it is one Squid Game per file. Right?
Yeah.
Because they're thick files. I can't imagine there's 400 people need 6 files in them. But it started in 1999. So about 22 years ago at this point, right?
Yep.
And you see and as it goes on, there are more. 5 or 6 Squid Games per year. I paused it. I counted. There's at least 5 to 6 Squid Games every year. With 455 players per Squid Game.
Yep.
I'm going to tell you that equals, like, let's go on the low end, 5 Squid Games a year. That is 2,275 people every year. Times that by the 22 years it's been going on, this is 50,000 people.
And so I also calculated that is about 0.1% of South Korea's entire population that we're losing to Squid Games every year, supposedly.
Only.
Just Squid
Games.
Years. Squid Games last 22 years has lost 1% of the Korean population.
Yep. And I feel like, well, that many people are going missing in like, bulk amounts.
Because, like the cop, like, there is, I understand that you can pay off the government. You can pay off whatever you want. But that is so many, like, this is not, it does not seem like we are in a less populated South Korea.
Logistically, it doesn't make sense.
More people are going missing. My thing is that there is one change that you make that solves this entire problem. It is not a room of files. It's one shelf. There is one shelf of files from 1999 to 2021. That's all you need. Yep. There is one annual Squid Game like there is one annual Hunger Games, damn it.
Yep.
The only other thing that I could logically think as to why there's so many goddamn files is that they have something individual, like multiple pieces of paperwork for each player. But that's the only thing I could think of.
But, like, those files are so thick. If you're not actually going to have him sit there and read them and explain to me what's in that file, why are there rooms of files? He just looks at them, opens them, and it seems to be one piece of paper. He flips through it. It seems to be 1 to 2 pieces of paper per person. It's easy to fit those 400 people into one file. It still implies that there's more than one Squid Game a year, which I think is too many people going missing every year. For there to just be zero evidence of it.
Yeah.
It's stupid.
Because I would almost think it would make more sense if, like, we brought in Junho and he's already, like, suspicious about it and, like, looking into, like, the Squid Games as a whole. Like, if like, something that's already, like,
if there's,
sort
like,
of aware, he's already aware of it, and so he's already looking into something like that.
So, we continue on. He somehow becomes the waiter for the VIPs, almost gets sexually assaulted. We'll get to that.
Yep.
Finds his brother. His brother's the head. Then gets shot and dies, and nothing happens.
And then that's literally it. That's the storyline.
He fell off a cliff.
I mean, like, if we have a season 2, he could be alive.
They didn't show him die.
Look, he could be alive, but did he do anything this entire season? No.
Nope.
Did anything change?
And nothing he did, like,
does the creator want to make a season 2?
No. Creator vocally didn't want a season 2, so.
Thus, maybe we won't get one. Thus, he did.
He's probably gonna get bullied into season 2, the creator.
Look.
Is what I would assume.
Look.
I wouldn't be surprised knowing Netflix.
If he doesn't want a season 2, I think we respect his wishes. I don't want a season 2. And also,
a lot of people don't want a season 2.
Until I get season 2 announced, he did.
Yep.
Once season 2's announced, he gets revived. But in my mind, he's dead.
Right now, he's dead.
Right now, he's dead. But overall, I just think that cop storyline was boring.
We didn't do anything. With it at all.
Do we also want to just really quickly do the organ harvesting plotline?
Yeah, organ harvesting plotline.
Yeah, what was the point of that?
Also goes nowhere.
Really, when you really sit and think about it, besides, like, being like, oh, you try to do some other shady shit during the thing, you get punished. I mean, cool, but, like, we already had a guard die after the Dalgona game because you were building space. I think right there, that said everything.
But, like, it makes no sense because here's the thing. because both of these were made entirely to show what the guards are doing, right?
Yes.
That the guards are people, that they're human beings, that they are also in there for their own interests, because it's the guards recruit one of the players who's a doctor to come in, harvest organs from the dead contestants,
yeah.
And then they're gonna sell them. And they're trying to keep him alive for as long as possible, and then they're gonna sell the organs. The thing is, when the face of the game master, game runner, whatever, finds out, he hangs and publicly displays the doctor and all the guards that are helping him, and they all are dead.
Yeah.
My thing with that is that if you wanted to show the guards as people, pick one. That's the thing. You can either have the cop storyline and spend the amount of time we had on the fucking the doctor, give it to the cop and make the cop storyline something.
I know, I was like, because we easily could have gotten the same type of thing from the guards just through the cop. Like, we didn't need the organ harvesting for it.
Or take away the cop, make the cop maybe a season 2 plot, and then put all of that into the organ harvesting and actually show me more. Both of those seem like half-ass storyline because it's a 9-episode show.
Organ harvesting,
I find to be even, this was just to try to move along the cop storyline.
I find organ harvesting to be even, like, worse of a plotline, because it really has no purpose at all for that to be there.
It really is no purpose, because in that whole time, we don't learn anything about the doctor. The doctor has no... He's
there to harvest organs. Doctor's there to harvest
scummy. He's doing organs harvesting.
Great, but also, he's already in a... Is he scummier than anything else going on there? He's in a death game.
Yep.
You do you, boo-boo. You don't know if, like, he's scummy because he's doing organ harvesting on like, if, like, these guards that are holding me hostage now, and also could kill me at any point, are gonna be like, yeah, now you're gonna do something for us. Like, maybe he just was like, well, this is my ticket to win.
And honestly, like, he's doing it organ harvesting on dead people, too. So it's not like he's killing people and like organ harvesting,
The guards are killing people. We don't learn anything about him personality-wise or why he's there. We don't learn anything about the guards. We don't even see... We see 2 guards.
Well, there is something to do mention about the surgeon guy, that there was a malpractice issue.
That's what I was saying. I was thinking he's there for malpractice.
So, malpractice. Yeah, but like
so,
that
like,
doesn't.
But like that seems like a generic thing to put on. That's not a personality trait.
That's still
that's like a generic.
That's like if we need an evil doctor to be here, it's like malpractice. Like there we go.
Malpractice. Like that.
I mean, it makes the most sense, but you know.
Yeah, I'm still like, that's not a personality trait. That's just what the most likely thing to happen would be. But overall, I just find that, like, that plotline goes nowhere, does nothing. We see 2 guards' face in this entire show. It is the Dalgona guard that gets shot immediately, and the cop.
And then everyone was like, he's hot.
And the cop is not he's not a real guard. He's there for other purposes.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 storylines that go nowhere. Let's go back to the actual plot, which is that
we left off on the Dalgona game, I think.
Yeah, we're about... Oh, wait. No! Do we want to do the night with the flashy lights? Is that before that?
Oh, no, wait. Should we... Wait, hold on. I'm trying to remember.
That might be after. I don't remember.
Wait, no, before the Dalgona game is the whole thing where Crazy Bitch and Sabyok take their extended bathroom break, and then she climbs the air vents, and then this is the precursor to the Dalgona game, because then
she finds out what the game is.
Yeah, she finds out what the game is, which is whatever. She also manages to see a lighter
and then
in her
Sungwoo is all like, oh my god, it's probably
there.
this.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't say anything about that.
Sure.
Wait, what'd you say? Oh yeah, that's right. The cigarettes up her wahoo.
So, I'm gonna just mention something. So we're gonna go to Dalgona. Dalgona is a game that I have never found interesting.
This is also a game they do on Korean variety shows often.
Lot.
It's also a hard game.
I don't know if it's a game. It's more so like it's a sugar candy thing. It's kind of like, you try to keep the shape out
that's what I'm saying.
They structure it in the form of a game on a lot of, like, Running Man or like 2 Days, 1 Night. It gets structured as a game.
And I feel like if you're a child, you're gonna structure it. You're gonna make this a game. You're
It
kids.
is
You
just
make
a
everything
candy.
a game.
It's made out of only like sugar and baking soda.
A little bit of
That's
baking soda. It is sugar and baking soda. I will say it does actually look a little bit harder to get the shape into than it appears at first.
Yes.
Because I saw the binging with Babbage video and he could not do it for a while because it's a skill. Honestly,
I saw them on an episode of 2 Days One Night attempt to make it because it was the thing. It's like
It's
you have to
harder than it
make this
looks.
candy and you have to punch it out or you don't get to eat dinner today. And I think,
you know what? You know Shiny's really old show that they had when they watched the baby.
Hello Baby.
Hello
Baby. Shiny's Hello Baby. They made Dalgona candy.
Yeah.
They talked to a guy who was there.
They did get Dalgona candy and Hello Baby.
And then they were trying to form it. They're like, oh, this is hard because the sugar cools quickly when you get out of the thing, so you gotta make the shape quicker.
I say this every time, but guys, revive Hello Baby. That was a great show. That's like a top tier show right there.
When did that show come out? 2000. When was that? 2009, 10.
Yeah,
2010.
That was a long time ago.
It was a very long time. Because remember,
ago.
oh god, remember that Sister and Lee took raised the baby together?
they did. It's a very weird combination of people to raise a baby
combination
too.
of people. Guys, can we just do a retrospective on Hello Baby?
We literally said we were gonna do that when we
Someday.
talked about the Genius, and it's like a year, almost 2 years later,
Guys,
and like
we
here
need
we
to
are
watch Hello
talking
Baby.
about Hello
I wanna-
Baby.
I want to talk about Hello Baby. I love
Oh
that
my
show.
God.
That show was that is when
For another episode.
We need to get off Hello Baby. We need Dalgona.
Anyways,
in this.
Dalgona.
So-
Candy, cool.
Yeah, so the shape of Dalgona, you can put really any shape into it. They decide that this show decides it's a circle, a triangle, a square, a star, not a square. It's a circle, a triangle, a star, and an umbrella.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's no square.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
Is
that's
there
no
a square?
square.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. It's the star, the circle,
The
the
triangle,
and the
and
umbrella.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just those
Yeah.
four.
Yeah, I think I'm getting the masks. There's a lot of shapes in this show.
Clearly.
There's a lot of shapes.
A lot of
Well,
shapes.
square guys are like second in command from Black Mask guy or
Yeah.
Eve Yun Hyun, I guess.
I
And
did
then
not
triangle dudes are above circle guys.
And yeah,
so.
circle guys are like entry level dudes.
They're like the grunts.
They're the grunts.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is that in this, they essentially they're given a Dalgona and a needle situation, and they're like, yeah, you have X amount of time to get it out of the Dalgona, and if you break it at any point, we will shoot you in the head.
Like point blank in the head.
Point blank in the head. Also, this is where they are in the oversized playground, which seems fun. I want to go down that slide. That seems fun.
Mm-hmm.
But, so our main guy ends
This is
up
the
with
only time our main guy is really ever
Does
doing
anything.
anything smart.
Because he gets the umbrella, which is the hardest shape because it's an umbrella.
It's umbrella.
Which I want to point out, Sunu
know.
didn't know, probably had a pretty good idea what this was
Didn't
going
tell
to be. And he didn't tell him. He was like,
And
nothing.
he went
He
for
fucking
the
asshole
triangle.
that he is.
He is.
The
And
start of him, me realizing, ooh,
Yeah.
this
and
guy,
he is also,
he knows a little bit too much.
Yeah.
He's smart.
Yeah.
He
And,
went to
like,
Seoul National University, so clearly he's a genius.
Yes.
But not a genius to not do extortion, apparently.
Extortion is just,
T.
Not smart enough to make
T.
money without embezzlement.
Exactly.
Clearly.
But like,
anyways.
he goes for the triangle, which is the easiest shape to do in Dalgona because, like, it's a
Three
triangle.
sides,
It's
yeah.
3 sides. You're dealing with that. Crazy bitch ends up with the star, but also decides that she's just going to use her later, which again,
How do we not catch her cheating?
not catch that? Is that count as cheating? Because I never understand in this show, like, what is cheating and what is not cheating.
I mean, considering she smuggled the lighter in illegally, I'm pretty sure it's cheating.
It is, but I'm like, is it just if they catch, like, what exactly is the, because she's hiding under the
Also-
slide, but I feel like these guards have vision. They can immediately tell if someone broke the candy immediately, no matter where they are. The one guy's at the top of the slide, he breaks it, turns around, and he's already there. Like, these guards seem omnipotent if it wasn't the fact that we knew they were human.
Can I just point out, too, for a hot random thing, that her number is 212? You know that has something with a 212? Azalea Banks has a song with 212.
All right.
Connection confirmed to be a crazy bitch.
All
You know
right,
anything about
crazy.
Azalea Banks? That's all I'm gonna say.
All right.
I'm just saying.
So essentially...
On that note.
Yeah. So essentially, how our boy Gi-hoon wins is that he decides to just lick the shape out because it's sugar and it melts very quickly. Because it's
The one
sugar.
smart thing he did.
The only thing he did in this. And then essentially at the end, after essentially the game is over, you end up with one guy who's like, he takes one of the guards hostage and is gonna kill him with with a gun that I don't remember, it's all a big blur, but he's gonna kill him if no one unmasks. One of the guards unmasks, and it's this young guy who TikTok simps over now. I don't know,
probably.
I mean, he has a very nice
he's
face.
He's a handsome man, but we see him for 2 seconds and then he gets shot.
True.
Yep.
Because they shoot the other guy.
Hun's all like, how dare you reveal your face? You know the rules. Bang, bang.
Okay, so Kayla, is this where we go on our rant about how this show is
how this is not an allegory for the military?
So
yes,
so
please,
I have seen
discuss.
this be interpreted as an allegory for military recruitment. Because you find out that the guards are all really young guys who look like they are in their like late teens, early 20s. This guy looks like he's in his 20s. He looks like he's in his mid-20s.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever. I've seen people interpret this as like, yeah, it made me think about the military and how they like recruit people right out of school with no prospects and like da-da-da-da. And I'm like, great. That's not what this is about. Because
if
in South Korea,
that is a purely American problem.
Reading of this. Because if you don't know, in South Korea, you have to complete military service before you are 30. Unless you have a medical exemption, you have to do it before you are 30. So of course you're gonna be young and in your mid-20s. And
the most common time for kids to do it is right out of high school or like in between their like 4 years of college. So
yeah, they'll do it either right out of school before they start college or after their first 2 years of college before their last 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you're there
that's
for
mainly
18
because
months.
a lot of workplaces will
not hire you.
Yeah, if you don't have it done by then.
Because it's like you are gonna be gone for 18 months.
Yeah,
you're taking 18 months off.
Minimum 18 months. Most.
I think it's closer to 22. I think is pretty like common.
Yeah, something like that.
It depends on which branch you join in. I think the longest is the Navy, which is like 23 months, and then the Army's the lowest,
like
with 18 months. Either way, it's close to 2 years.
Yeah, we'll say 2 years. We're just gonna use 2 years to be general. You're there for 2 years. Of course, they look young. This is, and also the thing that doing the military in Korea is not considered it's not controversial. It's just what they do. It's not
like a rite of passage thing too for like a lot of men.
It's
too.
the law.
It is the law.
It is,
and
it's also the law. Yeah.
And also like it is not the same kind of treatment in the American military. You're not dealing with the same issues. It's a completely different way of thinking about it. Like you cannot read this show the way you would if it was in America. This is not a critique on the military. It's not.
Yeah,
that just doesn't make
any
sense.
It doesn't make any sense in the actual.
Most likely, they're not going to.
If you take it actually in like context of South Korea, that is not what this is about at all.
And if it is, I feel like
again, the main reason why they still do that, for those who aren't aware, is because
the
they are
Korean
still
War
technically
never
at
ended.
war with North Korea.
Yeah. The Korean War is technically not over and never will be. Let's be honest.
Yeah, at this point.
But I think that reading is something I've seen multiple times, and it's just so easily disproven with very basic knowledge about what it is to be South Korean. It is very much an American-centered mindset that thinks that, and it doesn't make any sense.
No. That is purely, like, a very America-specific problem, like...
Mm-hmm.
Like, if this whole story did not take place in South Korea, sure, maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah. But this is
like,
literally this is South Korea.
So, like, that's really not the case here.
Yeah, like, their military life, which, again, I'm not saying it's not hard, I'm not saying that, like, whatever, but it is
the
not
entire
the same as
cultural context surrounding it is so much different.
It's so different.
Yeah.
So you cannot just start putting your own thing on that. It's just not how that works. So then we get riot.
We get a riot. We get a prison riot, essentially.
So they are in essentially
riot.
So essentially they sleep in this room that is just like
a bunch of bunk beds, but they're like five tiered bunk beds.
Yeah.
We're talking about episode 4, correct?
Yeah.
Because this is also where the whole plot line of the whole let's go organ
harvesting
starts
out here.
We talked about the organ harvesting. Makes
so that
no
happens.
sense. We're done.
While the prison riot happens.
So the
thanks
prison
to
riot.
and Crazy Bitch and all the cronies. So.
Yeah. So in the prison riot, which I think is my least favorite scene in this entire show,
it's really
it gave
pretty
me a
stupid.
fucking headache.
It's like strobe lights everywhere.
It's
like
entirely lit by strobe lights, so you can't see anything.
It's like
you
a massive like seizure warning for everyone here.
You can't tell, because essentially the gangster man and all his cronies decide that they're just gonna fuck shit up and like, hey, if more people are already dead, maybe we'll be closer to the money. Whatever. And so, like, they start a riot, which essentially decides that it's... And, like, they also topple over the beds, which, again, if you're at the top of a 5-story bed, you're gonna be in a bad shot when you fall off of that. Yep. But whatever. It's entirely lit by flashing strobe lights. It gives you a fucking headache. You cannot tell what's happening. You cannot tell who you're looking at, where anyone is, what's happening, and I hated it. And then eventually, I guess, once the mask guy was like, this isn't interesting for our VIPs, let's go stop it. Mm-hmm. They stop it, and everyone's fine. But then we move on.
I mean, yeah, some people die. Sabyok has a knife. Her and Thug Life go at it because of their shared history.
Yeah,
like,
it kind of... Yeah,
Gion tries to help her out, tries to get the gang together along with Allie. And
nothing changes. Nothing is learned. We're at the same spot
and in the midst of this, Crazy Bitch has sex with
the other Thug man in the bathroom. Yeah, we got that.
After everything happens, but
around this time. About around this time. It sucks.
We also get the introduction of Jiyeon, even though we don't find out her name till
she's around 6. Here.
Well, no, we really get her more in Tug of War in the next episode.
Yeah, Tug of War starts though this episode, and then
we pick teams for Tug of War. Yeah.
So the next game is Tug of War.
It's what it is. It's Tug of War.
It's Tug of War, and only the fact
basically if you lose, you die. If you lose,
so
you fall off of a legend, you fall to your death.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. So, like, essentially, our gang of weak misfits with the old man is like, oh, we're never gonna win. And then the old man has strategy. That doesn't work. And then they just trip a couple of guys and they fall off a platform. Really, I don't know. This is actually kind of a boring game.
Yeah, it is I think it is probably the most boring game that they play, to be honest.
Yeah, there's not much. I
mean, if anything, the whole heights aspect freaks me out. They're chained to, like, the rope.
Yeah.
Like, literally in shackles to the rope.
Yeah, well, that's kind of, like, it's Squid Game. It's fine.
Yeah, fair enough.
Next, then we move on, because I have very little to say about
Yeah, so that's whatever.
I mean, the only other interesting thing is that Jiyeon has this little weird interaction with, like, this one dude who's, like, a pastor, and she's all, like...
Yeah.
Basically got sex, and the pastor's all, like, going psychotic and praying and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Then that gets...
There's, like, mathematicians, there's pastors. You get, like, 1 or 2 things about different people as the thing goes on. So then we get the marble game. So the marble game begins with people having to choose one partner. They don't know what the game's gonna be, but they have to pick a partner. And there's an odd number of people, so someone's gonna end up with no partner. I've seen a very fun theory about this.
Really?
So for the most part, it appears that the old man is gonna end up with no partner. Mm-hmm. But then Gihan decides, hey, yeah, sure, I'll be this guy's partner. I like him. I don't want him to die. So Crazy Bitch ends up without a partner. Mm-hmm. It implies that she dies. I have seen a very fun theory about this, which is that this was the old man's out.
Really?
Because the old man thought he wasn't going to get picked.
It was the old man's out. No, I don't even think it's a theory.
No, not in the way. It was the old man's out in that he was just going to leave because he thought no one was going to pick him.
Right.
If no one picks him, I don't have to pretend to die.
Yeah. Then he's just not there.
He just gets to bounce.
Yeah.
And, like,
so they just assume that he got killed, basically.
Yeah, they would assume he got killed.
No one picked him.
But now these guards are stuck with Crazy Bitch.
No, this crazy woman is just here.
They're like, well, we can't kill, like, the role was, because they need, like, the thing was that we weren't gonna kill her. Mm-hmm. I guess she can just stay here.
Yeah. So yeah, she doesn't die.
No,
she doesn't die.
We'll get to it, but
she's just waiting for everyone else.
It's implied that she's gonna die. Everyone thinks she's gonna die. Everyone's like, oh, well, if we don't get picked, they're just gonna be dead.
Right.
So whatever. So they go out. They're each getting a small bag of 10 marbles, and the game is get your opponent. So get your opponent's marbles, however you can. You make the rules.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
Have fun. Live your best lives.
Yep. Here we are.
Here we are.
This is probably what people say is the best episode of the show. It is, I guess.
I don't know.
I guess it's very emotional.
It's emotionally charged, but it's like
because this is the first episode where you're losing like major characters of the show.
Yeah, about half of the major characters die.
Yeah.
Because do you just want to go through each pair?
Sure. Let's go for the major pair.
Yeah.
All right. We got Ali and we got Sunwoo. Yeah, we got Gi-hyun, we got Old Man. Yeah. We got Se-byuk and then Ji-yeon, who we find out her name.
We got Gangsta Man and his buddy, which I want to go through really quick. Because Gangster Man, because there really are no rules. He changes the rule halfway through his game. It doesn't matter, and then he just takes it, and the other guy dies. That's whatever.
The Gangster Man just really forces his way through it.
Yeah, he really just powers
like
through.
Brute forces his way
through just like a gangster does.
Yeah, exactly. I think let's do Se-byuk next. Essentially,
they're just gonna play a game of like we're gonna play one game and bet all of our stuff and then that's gonna be it. Essentially, is what they decide. Yeah. They spend a lot of the time essentially just talking about their lives to get to know each other.
They want to get mojitos.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Essentially, though, with Ji-yeon, though, we find out that her dad actually was a pastor but was a hypocrite and was abusive, and he killed her mom, and then she ended up killing him.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then I guess that's what led to the downfall of her life, which is sad.
Yeah.
And then of course she finds out all about Se-byuk, all her shit that she's had to deal with. And then I guess the summary of it is that essentially I guess Ji-yeon
sacrifices herself
to lose, and it's all like, you got more to live for than I do.
Yeah. Because she essentially throws the game that they play.
And then she says, thank you for playing with me, and gets shot in the head.
Yeah.
As you do.
And it's sad. And Se-byuk's actress is good at that sad, straight face with the tears streaming down the face kind of thing. I wish I could do that, but I can't. That's all I'm gonna say. Also, Tumblr loves these two.
They
and
do.
ships them as a couple.
Yeah,
even though this is clearly just a friendship, last minute, hey, we might die in 30 minutes.
Okay, so I want to do Gi-hoon and the old man right now, just because I want to end with Ali and what's his name. But, Gi-hoon and the old man play the guess, even or odd. There's a name for that game, but I don't want to. It's whatever. Guess even or odd the amount of marbles in my hand. You win however many marbles are in the hand. Mm-hmm. This is fun because in this moment, Gi-hoon is losing because he's terrible at this game.
Yep.
And also, he deceives the old man.
Because the old man is showing like more signs of dementia.
Which I think are fake.
They're fake signs of dementia.
Fake of dementia. But, and then at the end, he's like, oh, are you sure you want to be taking advantage of an old man like this? Because he knows that he is essentially being taken advantage of.
Yep.
And essentially, he also sacrifices himself for Gi-hoon and then gets shot off screen, which is
a surprise.
Sacrifices himself.
Not dead. Whatever, but he gets shot off screen. Now we get to the actual heart-wrenching one. Kayla.
Mm-hmm. So this is between
one of two, I'd say.
So Sunwoo and Ali.
It's the big one.
This one makes me more mad though.
Yeah, so they're playing this game. Ali is essentially like has 19 out of 20 of the marbles, and then Sunwoo, being the crazy idiot that he is, somehow convinces him to like stop playing the game, and he's like, oh, like if like we don't finish our game, I'm sure there's other people who aren't going to finish it, and they're going to let us compete as pairs, and so we both can live or whatever. And then he does some, like, garbage thing where I don't know how he is able to get away with this with Ali standing literally right there.
Yep.
Where he, like, fashions, like, essentially, like, a pouch necklace for him so he can make sure he has it with him. But while he's doing that, he takes all of his marbles out of the bag and replaces them with rocks. And then gives it back to Ollie. And I really don't understand how he is able to do that. With literally Ollie standing right there watching him do it.
It makes so little sense.
Yeah.
And then Ollie realizes at the end of the time, you know, he has a pouch full of rocks. And then gets shot in the head.
Yep.
As one does.
Yep. And Songwoo has all the marbles now, so he is there.
Woo.
Hooray.
Hooray. Alright. That was that.
So
that's like the big heart
bad because Ollie had a wife and kid.
It's
that
sad.
wife and kid are... That's sad. That
and
wife and kid
Songwoo is just like a piece of shit,
great.
too, so it's not... It's upsetting.
But like, were we...
It's more upsetting to me than it is sad, because I'm like, he's fucking asshole.
This guy's an asshole. Yeah. Like, is this any more information that we didn't already have about him?
No, he's just pretty terrible all around.
I mean, if anything, this whole episode proves that he's a conniving little bitch, and it's kind of like, no wonder why he ended his ass up here. Look at what he did to his clients, most likely.
He did money laundering. I'm like, that's not a big... It's not a big jump.
Yep. So episode 7 is where we get the VIPs.
Whoa.
Oh,
this is literally the worst part of this entire show. Like, I can't express...
AKA the introduction
I can't express to you how much I hate them. So I cannot...
Here's the thing. There's a couple of reasons for this terrible English acting. One, I do know that a bunch of these VIPs are actually, American.
I don't understand how they found people who were this bad at acting. I literally don't understand.
But granted, Korean shows and bad white actors go hand in hand, typically.
There are actual good, like, white actors, but, like, they cost money, so you can't just have them here for, like, useless things.
5 seconds? Yeah. And, like, the other thing I'm saying is that, like, the dialogue is very... Like, there's only so much you can do with the dialogue, because it is English dialogue being written by people whose primary language is not English. Like, there's gonna be rough.
The thing is I don't understand, like, even, like, actors are normally allowed to, like, improv some of their lines a little bit. If they thought it was terribly, like, worded, they could have just, like, made it sound more natural. But it comes off like porn acting. Like, these men are terrible. Like, it sounds terrible.
Their faces are hidden.
The other thing with it is that, like, and the issue isn't, because I've seen a lot of people have issue with the way they're portrayed. I think the acting is bad. I think the acting is just so bad. Yes. If these were better actors doing the same material, I think it would be better, because I think that the way they characterize it, they're like, oh, but they're just, like, idiot rich people who, like, make bets and make terrible sex jokes. I'm like, yes.
Like, no,
Have you met a rich person?
Yes, that's what they're supposed to be like, but they're literally...
That's the point.
So bad at acting.
They're not Bond villains.
It's terrible.
Like, everyone, I think, a bunch of people wanted them to be Bond villains, and I'm like, they're not.
No.
They're rich idiots.
But it's like but I think saying that, like, they were purposely made that bad is an excuse for the bad acting.
Not
like,
bad acting.
Yeah.
I think that
the acting's bad in this.
Should have been better.
The acting is bad.
But I think the characterization and, like, what they are doing,
that's, like, pretty on par.
Is good. It's on par, and it's what it should be.
Yeah.
Do you want to go to the next game?
Should we talk about the dude who keeps making the... Do we want to bring up the subplot again with...
Oh, where he gets, like, sexually assaulted?
Yeah. The weird
surprise sexual assault.
Southern rich person.
Yep.
Yeah, he's Southern.
Making sex jokes the whole time.
He is. And then he decides
tries to assault our cop.
Yep.
Yeah, and then he doesn't, and then he gets, like... I mean, it goes nowhere. Like, yeah, these rich people also like to sexually assault people that can't say no. And...
I mean, that is correct. Like, that is...
It's like, thank you for telling me something I don't know.
Like, it's not incorrect. Like, it's a thing.
It's like, and?
I'm glad you caught that, Sam.
Yep. I gotta know the reference.
I try. From time to time.
But, like...
but yeah.
I don't...
What was the point of that? It's like, wait, people in power do terrible things.
Like that's...
What a surprise.
I mean...
I'm like, yes, and? These people are paying to watch people die. Am I surprised that they also are into devious sex acts? No.
Oh, I also want to, before we talk about the other game, I want to talk about how bad the English dub is right now. Because my other big problem with these horrible actors is that it really takes you out of the scene when you're watching them play this game where they're jumping on the glass panels and everything, and you are constantly cutting back to these horribly acted, like horrible acting where it's in
being cut
English.
Back to bad actors.
Yeah, you're cutting back to these horrible actors, and it really just takes you out of the scene so much because it's just so aggressively bad. And I will say, if you watched the English dub, or if you didn't watch, you watched it like in Korean and did not watch the English dub, this is not as distracting because in the English dub, every single character sounds as bad as the VIPs.
Oh yeah,
it is the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
Live action shows that are foreign. I always watch live action foreign shows subbed. Period.
Yeah, I went and I watched some of the dub because I was curious, because it hit me after I'd watched the show. I was like, shit, this show has an English dub. So many people probably watched this show in English.
Oh yeah,
and I was like, oh my god,
the show in English, and that seems like a terrible time. I would never. It's a terrible
time.
But
but every single character sounds as bad as the VIP is in the English dub. But I also want to point out one thing in particular I found particularly horrible about the English dub is the English dub voice of the old man, Ilnam.
Oh my god.
So he is obviously being voiced by a younger man who is putting on an old man voice. And he is also giving him a very stereotypical Asian accent. And I'm like, why are you doing that? When this is an English dub, no one else is doing that. Like, it seems
no one else has
kind
a
of
bad
racist. Yeah.
My other thing is that the dubbing's terrible, but my thing is like the translations are also so off.
This is okay. So this is the other thing I'll say about people who
especially for Opa.
Who are saying
Opa is a terrible
people who are saying the dub is better because the translation is more correct, and I'm like, no, both the subtitles and the dub are equally as incorrect and like inaccurate at times, just in different ways. Like the dub is in no way a better translation.
And also the fact that if you watch, because it depends on how you watch it, because I usually end up watching things on Netflix. Everything I watch is subtitled, even things that are in English.
I watch everything with subtitles.
Having things subtitled, so it's always English closed captioning. The English closed captioning and the English sub are different. They're different, and they are significantly different to the point where people got different rules for the games. Because for the marble game, I've seen people say, "Oh, you just had to get your opponent's marbles," and I've seen people say, "No, you had to get 20 marbles." That's different rules. Yeah. You're getting different rules for the same game. You can't do, like, the very basis of the show.
I did, the what I understood was that you were only supposed to get all 20, all the marbles of the other.
But it depends on, like, what translation you're getting. You could be getting different rules.
Yeah, and it's like little subtleties in the rules, but that does matter. Like,
it does matter, like, especially for people that want to be smart asses. Yeah, and be like, oh well, why didn't they just do this? And I'm like, because that's not the rules of the game. Like, that's blatantly against the rules.
And I will say that this is my problem with like dubs generally. You are losing like 80% of any emotional value of the show by watching the English dub. 100%. Oh yes, that is true of essentially any live action show that's been given an English dub. Is you're losing so much of the emotion. Where I felt like the parts of the show I watched with the English dub, you're essentially watching a different show because the experience is so different, because the tone of the show is so different without it being in like its original language and the emotion coming through. The show is essentially a different show at that point.
Look, the only dubbing I trust is overdubbing.
Yeah. Cuz I think they have that figured out where it's like it doesn't sound awkward. It doesn't sound awkward.
Makes it sound totally natural. I don't know how.
Because I will also say, after I learned that this had an English dub, I was like, well, shit, other shows on Netflix probably also have English dubs. So I looked into the Vincenzo English dub.
Cuties does.
I looked into the Vincenzo English dub. Vincenzo English dub, Vincenzo was dubbed in the way that it sounds like an anime.
It sounds like an anime dub. Sounds like an anime supervillain. Yeah. He sounds like a fucking supervillain. In the worst way.
I also found out that apparently about half of the dub of Vincenzo overlapped into Alice in Borderland's English dub as well. So that made sense. Oh my God. Where I picked up, like, why does it sound like an anime? And I'm like, oh, because most of these people were in Alice in Borderland.
Also in Borderland. That's a lot. But yeah, no.
But anyway, do not English dubbing. Terrible, absolutely
garbage.
The only
thing I think you should be dubbing is animated things, and also specifically animated things for children.
Yeah, I don't think it's nearly as bad.
No. Kids can't read subtitles. Let them be.
Yeah, and I feel like even anime dubbing is like, it's not great, but I don't think it's as bad because it's animated and emotionally wise, like, you don't lose out on as much of it.
Anime dubbing has been getting much better over time.
True.
Like in the 80s and 90s, anime dubbing.
There are so many good like English anime voice actors now that I think that they haven't figured out. Yeah.
Yeah, there's things that you can dub, but there's other things where I'm like, just leave it as it is, especially live action things.
Live action, just don't do it. Don't fucking do it.
It's so hard. Because,
don't do it. Never watch live action.
Here's the thing. With anime, you are very much matching very basic mouth movements.
Mm-hmm.
With live action, there's an entire face. There's a human face there with micro expressions, with like very specific diet. Like, it is so specific what you need to do. It will always sound awkward. No matter what you're doing, it will always sound awkward. And it will also always sound like the wrong voice because it's not the correct voice
to come out of the, like, an actual person. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the voice that comes out of that body.
Yep.
So now we go.
And then I guess I want to go on a little tangent about Oppa. Oh my god, I hate how they translate some of it to babe.
Look,
I get why.
I get it.
But like Oppa does not just mean babe.
No.
It means traditionally older brother.
Yeah, but like, you can use it. It can mean, it's entirely based on context.
Yeah, that is a word that I think has to get translated different based on the context.
It's entirely based on context.
Yeah, but they weren't translating it differently for sure.
Because you can, as a Korean person, you can call your actual older brother. Your real older brother can be
if you're a woman.
If you're a woman. You can call them
because that's the key thing.
You can also call your male best friend who is like a year older than you. You'll also call him Oppa. But those two things are different people. Mm-hmm. You can also then call your boyfriend, your actual boyfriend,
who is older than you.
Oppa. Or your husband even.
And your husband. And a bunch of other people who are men in your family.
Could be even cousin you can call Oppa if you
literally
really want.
any man who is like older than you. But not like if you're too old, then we got a different word. But when like but like younger but older,
Yeah, but if you're like a woman of thing, you can call any man older than you that is like your close.
That's like not middle age.
That's not middle age and is not like your father or anything like that. You can call men in your friend group and like whatever. That is a word you can use for them. But like, it's not. It does not just mean babe. It kind of doesn't mean anything.
It's really something that is like an actual equivalent doesn't exist in a Western language at all. There's no equivalent for it.
It's like an additional like, I don't know, like it's like an additional like
it's like an honor. It's all kind of like an honorific.
It's an honorary term, additional honorary term.
Honorific.
Yeah.
Although Crazy Bitch kind of, I feel like, says it in a sarcastic, mocking way in certain things, but like, that's the point.
Because God knows how old she is in comparison to anybody else on this show.
Yep.
She uses it, you can use it sarcastically, you can use it, like, as a joke, you can use it in a teasing manner, you can use it in a million ways, it entirely depends on context.
But that's, like, that is one specific thing that is always so hard to translate when you're translating
listing out all the rules for Oppa on the screen would have been impossible for the translator to do.
Or Hyun. Don't forget Hyun as well.
Hyun is like...
You could essentially translate that to brother most of the time.
But the other thing with that is that listing off all the rules of, like, how you become a Hyun to someone else and the, like, cultural connotations to the fact that, like,
because it doesn't mean a real life brother, but it's like...
not your real brother.
TLDR, age is a big deal in Korean society.
Not just
if you weren't aware of that by now.
Like, it's also
in terms of how you address people, it's a big deal.
It is, but, like... Yeah. The thing with Hyung is not so much an age thing, it's a closeness thing. You're only allowed to call people that you're close to Hyung. So, like...
Well, same thing with Oppa as well.
There's, like, a bunch of rules that, like, you learn through cultural connotations that, like, for a translator, how the fuck do you, what do you do?
For someone, for someone who's watching, like, a 9-episode show who has, like, absolutely zero cultural context for any of it, it's, like, even harder to try to figure out how to translate it.
Like, is it almost better to just not translate it?
Honestly, yeah, it's probably better.
It's almost better just to say "oppa" and then just try to figure out from there.
But like, that's a thing of just like, what the hell is that? Who is that? Is that a character?
And then
because
type
then
it
you
up
get
then.
confused. Of who
yeah,
but that's.
I think that's what happens if you just leave it in as a word. People think it's a person, and then it gets like.
Person, then you're like,
if it's italicized, then I think that usually gives it a hit. But like, because if you italicize it helps out.
Yeah, but that's like. But then again, then you're dealing with the dubbing situation of what do you translate it as?
Yeah, because like even with subtitles, you can put in like an editor's like translation note in it, but you can't do that with a dub. And considering so many people probably watch it with the dub, and it's like at that point, I think you probably just don't do it because it's not like they would even know at that point that that's
they would not even notice.
Yeah,
they wouldn't notice the word. And then you're just losing that cultural aspect of it. But again, if you're watching the dub, I don't think you really want. You don't care about that anyway.
Yeah.
So,
oh, the rest of this game is them trying to go across the
we haven't gotten to the glass panel game. We haven't introduced that game yet. So that game, essentially, they have to pick 1 through 16. They get to blind pick a number. And then, Gi-hoon was gonna pick 1, and then didn't, and then got stuck with 16, because the game has a 16-minute time limit. If you haven't completed the game in 16 minutes, you're gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sucks to suck. So you kind of want to go, like, in the middle. Really. And so the game is, there are, 16 pans of glass?
16 panels.
There are 16 panels of glass. You have to essentially choose 50-50. One of them is,
one of them's tempered, one of them is real glass.
Okay. And essentially, well, go for it.
Yep.
You choose the wrong one,
you're gonna fall to your death.
Breaks in, you die, and you fall and die to your death. A la like,
Splat!
Similar to like the rope game, where essentially the losing team gets
splat in this show.
Yeah, a lot of splatting.
Splat.
But we do lose a few more key people, mainly Crazy Bitch and Thug Life.
We lose everyone in this game except for 3 people.
Except for 3 people. Everyone dies.
The 3 most important people.
Essentially, in this game, this is also one of the only games that the VIPs are actually there to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Mm-hmm. But, so, essentially, the first guy, one of the first people is a mathematician. He essentially freaks out, does the math of, like, I'm, like, up here. How the fuck do I do this?
Right.
Oh, no, I'm definitely gonna die. Fuck it, I'm just gonna book it.
Yeah.
And then just does, like, 3 steps and then falls to his death because he realizes he can't win.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? Fair.
That's probably the move if you're there. Like.
Yep. And then as we go on, we get, like, does Thug Life die before Glassmaker?
Yeah, so Glassmaker's
the last one to die.
Gonna stand. Thug Man is gonna stand up at the top, like the start of the line, and refuse to move essentially until someone else decides they want to go in front of him and figure out the path for him.
Even though they're technically not supposed to.
Yeah, and this is when Crazy Woman is gonna come and she's gonna throw both of them off the ledge to their death.
Yeah, she essentially just like, grabs him and then
she holds on, grabs him, and then
she's like, "You cross me, bitch! I will kill you."
Like, my favorite thing in the world is that she had a 50-50 chance of that being real glass.
Yeah, she did.
That was a 50-50 chance. Like, thematically, it would have ruined it if they did not just yeet themselves down.
Yeah.
But, of course it was going to be tempered glass. Mm-hmm. But, there's still a 50-50 shot that would have been real glass. And that would have been hilarious if it was just...
And then this number 13 man comes along, and we find out that this man has worked in a glass factory his entire life.
For like 40 years. Like, this man is older. And, like,
conveniently.
And, like, he can tell...
Like, he can look at the glass underneath it, and he can tell based on how the light reflects off of it which one is tempered and which one is real.
And I'm like, you know what? Good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, like, VIPs and the
head
game guy catch on that, so they're like, let's make it interesting for the end.
Yeah,
so,
because,
of course, they kill the lights.
again, this is entirely based on, this is entirely for their entertainment. It's not actually for anyone, like, skill. Finally, you have a game of skill, technically. Mm-hmm. But it's not entertaining for the VIPs, thus they make it more interesting. Another commentary on capitalism.
Yep.
Blah,
and
blah,
so
blah.
we do that, and we're almost at the end, and then Sangwoo gets like impatient, and then just throws that man into one of the glass
It was like
panels.
the last tile too. And then of course all three of them just book it because they're like second.
Fuck it, we got it.
Yep.
I want to just put a disclaimer on the fact that Gi-hoon goes back to doing jack shit because he's the last person.
He's just standing in like glass and then just like doing absolutely nothing.
Not just that. But
key thing though to know about this scene is that they blow up the glass and it does
Sae-byeok
like
does get
scratch
injured
a few
in
people.
it.
Yeah.
One in particular.
Okay.
Sae-byeok,
but here's the thing. Here's the point I'm making. This man is our main character, and yet he has seen 15 people go in front of him, and he cannot remember what the first step is without Sae-byeok having to actually tell him. He has seen 15 people do this, and he is still looking at it like, shit, which one was the real glass on the first step?
Mm-hmm.
The man is an
useless.
idiot. The man is an idiot.
Absolutely useless.
This is our hero, ladies and gentlemen. Our hero.
Yep.
All he had to do was just watch everyone do it in front of him.
Yep.
He forgot. Does he have the memory of a turtle? What's happening?
Probably.
Anyways, we got our final three. Or is it our final?
We have our final
players.
3.
Yep.
Because 8th episode, they're all dressed in tuxedos. Sae-byeok, we see, is bleeding her stomach out. Not her ass, but her stomach out in the bathroom.
Okay.
Because she got stabbed with a piece of glass and then blew up the glass panels.
Woo.
Which was probably intentional. They probably wanted to injure
So we
someone.
give them a nice,
then, of course,
like, fancy steak dinner.
Woo.
And then we leave the nice fancy steak knives.
Yeah, we leave the knives for them.
They just get to keep
I wonder
the
what that's
knives.
for. Also, slight detail I noticed on the back of the walls, they show
All
a
the
depiction
games?
of all the
Yeah.
games, including the Squid Game, which, spoiler alert,
Is
because
the
we were
last
spoiled
game.
about that the first...
Spoilers.
We were spoiled about that in the first episode anyway, so...
It's called
shocker,
Squid
but...
Game.
Yeah.
It's literally called Squid Game.
Shocker.
So surprising.
Squid
But yeah.
Game is also not a very interesting game.
No.
But before we get there, we have to talk about the murder.
Yeah, we have a murder.
Yeah, Sae-byeok and Ji-hyun
More
have a
so
heart-to-heart. She's all
more
like,
so
hey,
of a
buddy,
murder.
promise whoever wins, let's look after our families. Cool. And, she's slowly fading. You know, you can tell. Like, and then he's all like, oh my god, help her. And then, of course, Sunwoo is a sneaky bitch and, you know, cuts her throat and she dies.
Yeah,
so.
we kill her, like, one of the most, like, on, like, ceremonial way, really.
Really was just like a yeet her out of the show.
Yep, we
only
gotta get
need
rid of
2
her.
people.
So, and then it's like, I guess people are like, well, Sangwoo was like, was it like kind of like a pity kill because she was like slowly dying anyway.
Not that I think the guards were gonna.
I don't know if
save
it
her.
was necessarily a pity kill. I think it was just like, oh, she's clearly dying. She's clear, you know, it's like, let's just get this to the final 2. Let's get to the next round. Let's go. Kind of deal.
Yeah. All right.
And then we wrap up our nice cop man where he finds a brother and then he gets shot and falls off a cliff and then we're done with that.
And then hopefully dies
he's, like, shot on the
because I
shoulder.
don't want a season 2.
Yep.
Like he gets shot in the shoulder, but also yeeted off a cliff. So
he will be back if we have a season 2. If there's no season 2, for now he's dead.
He's dead.
Yep.
We'll bring him back to life if there's more.
Mm-hmm. Squid Game time.
Squid Game time.
Squid Game time.
Now the actual Squid Game.
The actual
this is
Squid
gonna
Game.
devolve into like a knife fight real fast.
But like the actual rules of Squid Game are as follows, because I can't explain them. Kayla, would you like to?
I don't know how it works either. Like I
don't
watched this
fully
scene so many
understand
times and I don't understand how you play Squid Game.
Squid Game.
There's like an offense and a defense, like
and you have to like do shit on like one
But for some
foot,
reason you gotta hop on one foot for a little bit.
and then
like
you just have
very
to like
confusing.
get to a certain place. But really, this show decided that we're actually not going to play Squid Game. It's really just, hey, you just have to do this.
It's because they say in the rules of
Whatever
they say in
method-
the rules before they start that's like, you know, if it's gonna go until someone is unable to continue, essentially.
Yeah, which essentially is just murder.
Yep.
We're allowed to murder.
Yep.
Essentially, it just devolves into that because they still both have their knives. Like,
Yeah, we allowed them to have knives, totally inconspicuously.
and they imply it too. They're just like whoever is the last person standing
wins.
So,
which essentially is the most anticlimactic way to end the show with a knife fight.
Because Gi-hoon is going to try to, like have him and Sang-woo both leave alive, but then Sang-woo is going to stab himself in the neck. So he's just going to die in the rain.
Yep.
It's always more dramatic when it rains.
We have the rain for dramatic effects.
But
so he's dead. We got our main character here, who we knew was going to win the entire show because he's the main character. Here he is.
He won.
Yep.
He won, but he gets access. He finds out the PIN number is his ID in the game. Blah, blah, blah. He feels bad. He takes some money out.
He goes back home, realizes his mother's dead.
Yeah, his mom died in the meantime. Really great. Top tier work, everyone. To everyone involved.
Great job.
Great job.
He mopes around and does nothing for an entire year.
He becomes a bum.
Basically, it's like a bum.
Yep.
For a year. A full year.
He's not gonna touch the money at all for an entire year.
Nothing. I
mean, the bank even is all like, hey, dude, you want to touch your money?
The bank also probably wants to, him to invest it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why the fuck is there...
Why do you have all of this money?
Why is there $4 million? Mm-hmm.
Just that, or maybe here. Whoever, again, game creators are probably like,
I think the game creators do not give a shit.
No.
Or not.
They've done this at least 40 times already.
Yep.
They've done this so often, I think that they don't care.
But eventually he's gonna receive this invitation, game card invitation, and then he's gonna go to a hospital, and here's our old man friend alive and well. Not really that well, but he's alive.
Alright, so here is another part of this show that doesn't make any sense to me. So the old man calls him in, right? Mm-hmm. And he's like, people are inherently selfish. And Gi-hoon is like, no, they're not. And the proof of this is that, look at this, there is a homeless man outside. It is snowing.
Yes.
Because of course it's snowing. Look at that homeless man. That man will die if no one helps him. Mm-hmm. And they make a bet of if someone helps him or someone doesn't help him before he, before
he dies, essentially.
Before he dies. And the thing there's two things. One, Gi-hoon thinks that since the police came, which is not police came, and I think the old man was already dead. He's like, see, I won. Someone did come to help him. I'm like, that's the cops. That's their job.
Yep.
That is not someone out of the kindness
Well, there
of
was
their
a
heart.
white guy. There was a random white foreigner that was with the cops who walked by the old man.
He brought the cops.
And then
he
came
brought
back
the
with
cops,
the cops.
but inherently, the guy was dead.
But also, was it not the implication that he was supposed to go help the drunk man on the street? Is that not the actual implication?
That's what I
thought. The implication was Gi-hoon, no one said you couldn't go.
Are you this fucking stupid?
One thing.
Apparently he is.
One decision, Gi-hoon. One thing. Do one action. He does no actions in the show. He does reactions. Other people do things for him. He does nothing.
Like the hairdresser who dyes his hair red.
This hairdresser who dyes his hair red did a lot.
He's gonna dye his hair red for I don't know what reason, but bright red.
It's just the only thing I could think of is this is the closest thing to when say Mulan cuts her hair off.
Why does he have to dye it red?
Bright fucking red.
I really don't know. Maybe he's
to represent the blood of all of the people who have died because of him.
Maybe, who knows?
So then
but either way, he goes. The only one good thing he does is basically find Saebyuk's brother and gets him to Sunwoo's mother for
which
at least
again, this woman is also in her 80s. This woman is not long.
True.
Not really, probably.
This kid might end up back in an orphanage sooner rather than later.
Probably not the person to.
True, but at least it's some form of a parental figure,
and seemingly a good parental figure too.
Yeah, sure.
And he also gives her probably all the money that's here's money to pay off, and then some.
I mean, this woman already lost her stall and possibly her home, so
yeah.
The other question I have is that again, he was gonna go see his daughter. Has he stopped being a deadbeat and paid some child support? I don't
Probably
think
not.
so.
I'm gonna say that his wife doesn't know he's on the way to Los Angeles to see them.
He's just gonna
he's
surprise!
gonna just show up.
His ex-wife.
Yeah. Just why the fuck are you here?
Yeah.
She's at summer camp.
Mm-hmm.
She ain't here either.
And then if anything, it's just gonna be of course he doesn't go on the plane, so if anything, it's just see, he's a deadbeat. Told you.
Yeah, could you imagine if this daughter knew?
And then he's waiting and he's just fucking no, I gotta go fight an entire criminal organization.
For no reason. For no reason.
Yep.
So essentially, he sees.
We see our friend Gongyu again on the subway.
Gongyu's back, hype, still slapping people, same way.
Still slapping people on the street.
And then he stops another guy from going to the Squid Game, and then he's like, he calls the number.
One good thing too, I guess. Second good thing.
I
guess.
Sure,
he's like, don't you fucking dare do this.
I guess, sure, why not? And then, you know, he's like, never mind, I'm going to the Squid Game, and I'm like, sir, these people can just drug you and kick you out.
And they literally call him and are just like, you need to just get on the plane to see your family and, like, not worry about it anymore. Like for your own good, like, please just
They're just
go.
like, literally, dude, move
Please
on.
go see your family.
And he's just like, I'm not moving on.
Because, yeah, no, totally. This man who has done nothing this entire show is gonna go stop the Squid Games.
Yep. There it is.
It's almost like he's too obsessed with the past.
He is.
He just wants to try to change it.
And here we are.
Move on.
That's it.
It's like bad habits die hard still.
But my question is, like, his bad habits were just doing nothing. He didn't do anything.
Bad habits is just, like, doing absolutely nothing.
Gambling, stealing from his mom.
Being a deadbeat. He continues that. The deadbeat continues.
Giving his daughter a toy gun that spits out fire.
Yep.
That's a lighter. From a claw machine.
He's a deadbeat in every conceivable way. And you know what? That's just what we're doing now.
That's the end. That was Squid Game.
That was Squid Game.
I don't really get how it got as big as it did at all.
I don't understand.
Because the thing is that this is not even close.
Had to be the damn giant girl robot, because
I think it was just because it's very similar to, because a lot of people are like, oh, this feels like Parasite meets Battle Royale, and I'm like, yes.
The thing is like, this is not even close to the first, like, thing that is a death game that has existed ever. And every time we see it, for some reason, we're gonna pretend that it's so, like, new and creative and inventive. And I'm like, we have done this exact same thing, like, thousands of times before. Like so many times. Man being the prey. Mm-hmm. Not even taking death game, just talking about a game where you kill other people. Yeah.
I mean, how even Gladiator is real life.
One of the oldest stories in history.
Yeah.
And then specifically death games, I can list you like 15 that we have consumed.
I have like an entire list of like Japanese like manga and like movies and just other like similar content that I have watched that are all exactly the same.
I have seen a bunch of movies. There's also not the first K-drama that's done this. Like,
no,
The Liar exists. Like, there's a bunch of K-drama... Liar games, sorry, not
Liar
The Liar.
Game, yeah, that's Liar like an adaptation of a J-drama, too, yeah.
And it's a manga, too. Mm-hmm. Like, there's, like, a bunch of just things that are death games in that way. It's not
when I first started seeing like advertisements for Squid Game, I literally went and looked it up to see if it was an adaptation of As the Gods Will, because it is almost identical to As the Gods Will.
Personally, I like As the Gods Will more. I love that movie. That movie's
because the first game they play in As the Gods Will is Red Light, Green Light, and they also play. They don't play it in the movie, but they also play Tug of War in the manga. And I'm just like, they're so similar. I was like, is this literally a Korean adaptation?
They're stuck in it's supernatural.
It's a school. It's all school children and As the Gods Will, yeah.
Because
and that's another thing too. A lot of the death games, well, at least a few that I've seen, are high schoolers.
Oh yeah, it's mostly
or kids.
Like it's more so done with children than adults. Mainly just
or they're the main characters of the story, like Hunger Games, for example.
Kids, I feel like it's easier to feel bad for kids than adults.
Yeah,
it always is. Like these kids have no, like it's a little less. Like Battle Royale would not work nearly as well if it was a bunch of adults trying to kill each other.
I'm thinking of Future Diary. Future Diary is a mix, children and adults, and that's like a little bit weird. The dynamic that happens there.
The Future Diary that people remember are not necessarily because of the death game aspect.
Yeah.
Ugh. I don't want to think about Future Diary.
Future Diary is a weird show.
I feel like that's the few anime shows that just constantly people just groan but still talk about because
we
of how
literally
fucked
groan.
it is.
I literally did groan.
I also want to
literally
talk
did
about
that.
Alice in Borderland recently because that's the most direct comparison that people are making because it came out last year and it's the most similar.
It's also about adults.
It's also about adults and it's also a death game. They're very different shows. And most people I have seen who have watched both shows think Alice in Borderland is better. I would like to hard disagree because I think both of them are not good. I would probably even say I like Squid Game better than Alice in Borderland. But they're both really bad for completely different reasons.
Look, I think that Squid Game has a vision. Squid Game has themes. Squid Game is far better looking. Squid Game has some great imagery. Squid Game has better acting.
That's also the thing. My biggest problem is Alice in Borderland. I think the acting in Alice in Borderland is really bad. And I think that maybe is a thing with J-dramas. And I think that's how J-drama acting is. And I think that's why I don't like it. But...
Which I don't understand.
The acting is bad.
Like, you look at old school Japanese cinema, it's
a lot of
J-dramas.
J-dramas are two things. They are cheap and they have bad actors.
Yeah.
Alice in Borderland, one of the best.
It's one of the highest budgeted, like J-dramas, because it doesn't look. It looks very well produced because it was a Netflix show.
Like their films and their anime shows.
Well, yeah, they don't put money into J-dramas.
Pretty damn good.
They don't put money into
But then,
them.
like the live action TV shows,
and then it's like you get to J-dramas. It's like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, yeah. The other thing with Alice in Borderland, so Alice in Borderland is an adaptation of a manga which is finished, and Alice in Borderland only got through about half of it. So it is set up to be like a season 2 element because they did leave a lot of it open-ended, but there is more content there, so there is a reason like it ended like that.
Yeah, so can we spoil the ending of Alice in Borderland because it's the stupidest ending I've ever heard in my life.
I have not seen it though.
Are you ever gonna watch it, Maria?
Should I see
it?
It's not good.
No.
Well,
Okay,
also
fine,
the ending of
Alright,
ending of the like because this isn't even the ending of like the show Alice in Borderland. This is like the ending of the manga of Alice in Borderland.
It's the stupidest ending I've ever heard.
So the whole plot of Alice in Borderland, if people are unfamiliar, is like there is this kid and his two friends. They're like kind of degenerates a little bit, and all of a sudden
not in the way that Gi-hoon's a fuck up. They're
just kind of like kids who have like no purpose in life and are kind of just like wandering.
Not in college. They're just like living off they're like bumming off their parents for a little bit. They're not like degenerate gamblers.
It's like they're like less harmful to society degenerates for sure.
Well, you know, for now they could grow. They have time.
But like the type of children that most parents
like one of them just has like a gaming addiction and lives with his parents. Another one like cheated on his boss's with his boss's girlfriend. It's just like those we're that level of degenerate. Yeah,
but like whatever. So then they get sucked into this like
they're running from the cops for some reason. Then they get sucked into this weird bizarre world where they're essentially supposed to be playing
Tokyo.
All of these, it's Tokyo, but it's like empty and like not as many people there. But they have to keep playing all of these like death game-esque things in order to essentially earn these cards, which gives them like days to stay alive in the world that they're in.
It's entirely playing cards. So it's like your basic deck of playing cards. It's those cards. The other thing with it is that these are more logic puzzles than Squid Game, which are very basic children's games.
Each game requires a lot of strategy. A lot of them are very collaborative. You have to you have to work with the other people who are there. They take a lot of skill to actually win. And they are also very deadly. I mean, that's like a given, but they're very deadly games.
The other thing with that is that they're varying levels of skill. Mm-hmm. Like you can choose like
the higher the number of the card on the higher the number on the card, the higher difficulty it is, and then each suit of card also represents like a different type of game as well. Mm-hmm. Because some of them are like strength or endurance based, some of them are like skill based or whatever. Yeah. So my problem with this is
like you get to pick and choose what games you're doing. You don't have to do all of the games.
So my main problems with Alice in Borderland is that its theming is very flimsy because it's obviously supposed to be Alice in Wonderland themes, but it is like barely holding on to that because the only thing it has is that a couple of the characters have names that are references to Alice in Wonderland characters, and that's literally it. It's like nothing. There is absolutely nothing there.
Look, having watched a lot of Alice in Wonderland adaptations, even some loose ones, this is
not it. Like, not it at all.
Also, the biggest issue I have is it veers in a direction in the second half of its plot into that whole, like,
the thing at the beach. Once we get to the resort and the beach, the plot is lost. Plot's lost, yeah. We've lost it.
Like, the thing with Squid Game is that it had a very clear intent. It had a very clear message. It knew what it wanted to do. I do not think that Alice in Borderland knows what it is.
No, and my other thing is that people say that the storytelling and the characters are better, and I would hard disagree on the characters being better, because I think the characters are so one-dimensional that I just don't care about them, because we don't really know a lot about them, because they don't give them anything.
Not just that, but, like, I found that the people, like, our three main characters, which, spoilers for this show, becomes one very quickly, are very... Like, I don't find them, especially the main character, I do not find interesting at all.
No.
The only people I find, like, I'm like, what the fuck is your deal, is white-haired boy and the chick that's with him.
Yeah.
Like, those two, it's more so that I'm like, what the fuck is your deal? Not so much that I find
and it's like,
interesting.
they're just like, and it's like, are they interesting because they're, like, tall and dark and mysterious? Like, is that what we're doing now? It's like, that's what we're considering good character development?
It's what I got. It's the only thing I had anything to grab onto, which is what I'm like, well, what's your deal? Because you're the most interesting thing happening in this show where nothing happens.
And because it was so obviously cut, like, in the middle of, like, a manga that had an ending, it's like, there's no payoff to the ending at all, because it's so obviously setting up, like, multiple seasons that the ending is just, like, nothing.
And here's the thing. When you find out the ending of the manga, which I don't mind if
the ending of the manga makes it a lot worse. It worse. Makes it so much worse in perspective.
Kayla, just say it.
So the ending of the manga, if you don't want to know this, just skip like 2 minutes, I guess. The ending of the manga is this place that they're in is essentially where all people who are in comas go. And this is just like, if you win, I guess, it means you wake up from your coma, but if you die, then you just die. And that is what it is. It's like some, like, shared fever dream that everyone in a coma is just there.
Mind you, it is not just the main character's coma reality.
No, this is a shared collective place that people with comas go.
This is
so it's like almost everyone
experiencing purgatory.
Yeah.
But not.
And knowing that was, like, what the environment we were in, I'm like, that's so fucking stupid. Because, I was like, what on earth is that?
You're not winning anything.
No.
It's so stupid.
But then it also takes in consideration, like, once you find that out, it's like, he goes in with 2 friends, and then you're just like, so are his 2 friends just hallucinations, or are they also in comas? Yeah.
Because also, my question is, when during their chase from the police did they get hit by a fucking bus? What
they just
happened?
Like fucking ran into a bathroom and they came out of the bathroom and they were in this place.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what happened? When did they get into the coma?
It's so confusing.
Because it'd be one thing if, for example, they got hit by a bus.
Right.
And
they clearly just run into a bathroom, feel like an earthquake, come out of the bathroom, and then they're in the place, so...
Did they die was it a real earthquake and the building collapsed?
Yeah, and then
But also, that's just death.
Know. And also it finds out that apparently by the time the main character wakes up, like 15 real-life minutes have passed.
It's been 15 minutes.
It's been like 15 minutes, and he felt like he was in there for like a year.
It's been like a year.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? Because also, this entire thing, because it reads like government conspiracy.
Yeah, it really does.
Get, like, it gives you hints, it gives you plot points, it gives you everything. But when you realize, it's like saying at the end, it was all a dream.
That's literally what it is. Because you do get hints in the show that it's like there are people getting paid to set everything up, and there are these game masters, but the game masters aren't even bad because they're being manipulated by other people. Exactly. So you're expecting this giant conspiracy, and it's like, no, this is like a weird-ass fever dream. And it's like, well, that's really stupid.
And my thing with that is that it's like, are they playing a different game? It's like, do they get out of the comas, or are they just hallucinations?
It's so weird.
What is real?
The whole thing is just so weird.
Everyone is technically in a coma, Maria.
And as much as
their own individual coma.
And as much as I didn't enjoy Squid Game, and it's a very well structured show, and it had ideas that it wanted to get across, and it was a good budget, and the acting is good, and it has all of that going for it. And Alice in Borderland has absolutely none of those things. So
no, Alice in Borderland I think is actively bad.
It's bad. It's a bad show.
Bad. Also, the fact that I've gone on to the harping about the fucking beach and how I don't understand how pockets work when the men are allowed pockets and the women are only in bikinis.
Yeah, the women, literally, all the women have to wear bikinis. And I'm just like...
Wait, and Alice...
So, essentially, okay.
It's terrible.
The main character finds himself at this quote-unquote beach, which is just this resort that has pools, and, like, there's a bunch of people there, and they're all trying to work on the games together, and they all collectively want to live. However, because they don't want any secrets, everyone has to wear swim attire because no one can have no one should be able to keep any secrets. However,
because they don't want anyone carrying things like pockets or whatever.
Yeah. So, but the problem here is that the women are all in bikinis or like tank tops or things that are like short shorts, things that obviously do not have pockets or anything in them. The men are in baggy board shorts and hoodies.
Yeah.
And t-shirts.
Yep.
And,
yep.
And I'm like, that has the main, our dark and mysterious blonde man is literally in a hoodie with pockets.
Yep.
That's not...
Yep.
Like, what the... Why are these... Like, this is entirely made to draw anime girls in bikinis.
It's the sexism.
Entirely made for that. But, like, what the fuck?
Jesus.
Why are we doing this?
Horrible.
That bothered me so much. Inherently bothered me so much. Because I'm like, that is just internal gaps of logic.
And I, like, went back and watched, like, portions of Alice in Borderland, like, for this, so I could, like, make a comparison. Because I kept hearing that so many people liked it more. And I'm like, this is not a good show. Like, I'm watching it again. It's still as bad as it was when I first watched it.
Yep. I think.
Jeez, well, good to know I won't be missing.
No, I would 0 out of 10 would recommend that show.
Honestly, if you want to watch, if you liked Squid Game and you want to watch something similar, Battle Royale, As the Gods Will, like.
I mean, I gotta find As the Gods Will.
I like King's Game, Osama Game. I like that a lot.
Yeah, King's Game's decent. Like, there's a bunch. Like, if you're into anime, I guess.
Let me just give out a list of anime real fast. So there's a manga series. It's by the same author, but they're 3 separate series. It's called Doubt, Judge, and Secret. I think all 3 of those are good.
Yeah.
Batum is essentially a battle royale, but everyone uses bombs. So that's another one. Osama Game has the King's Game. It has an anime, but also has a manga, and there's like 2 seasons of it. There's like a prequel and like another series, so those are both good. There's also a manhwa called Dice. I compare that to Future Diary a little bit. It's kind of in the same realm as that, if that's the thing you like. Yeah. And then Kakegurui is also kind of in the same. It's not as deadly, but it's in the realm of like weird gambling.
But like it exists.
Yeah.
It's gambling.
That's it. You know, I did not see Kakegurui as that. Now that you mention it, kind of
it's
is.
In that
realm.
Like,
it's high school.
It's like kind of adjacent to it, yeah.
It's not full death.
But like no one really dies.
No.
It's just
it's not deadly, but it's got like similar themes of like capitalism and
capitalism sucks.
Yeah.
But like
rich people are obsessed with gambling and they go crazy.
Yeah, there are infinite amounts of stories that you can do. There are infinite amounts of stories that have been done.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the first, nor will it be the last death game we have. Japan makes one every 6 months.
And that's the thing is, Squid Game also feels very Japanese because this is it's a very common trope in like Japanese media.
I think it's pretty clear that the creator was probably very inspired by
it's looking clear that like it is inspired by things like The Hunger Games, As the Gods Will,
and it almost feels as if Netflix decided to greenlit Squid Game after Alice in Borderland did so well. It almost feels like that was a direct follow up to that.
And honestly, it is better than that.
It is a better version of it, so yeah.
Maybe one day we'll get a actually like very good death game on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I think just make it with kids. Those are infinitely better.
It says here for Hwan Dong-hyuk that he read survival manga such as Battle Royale, Liar Game,
Kaiji,
Gambling Apocalypse, Kaiji.
Yeah.
So I'm like, clearly
he's very
Japanese
inspired by that, yeah.
Yep.
Clearly.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
All right.
So that's Squid Game.
That was our opinions on both Squid Game and apparently Alice in Borderland.
Alice in Borderland as well, I guess. Yeah.
Good to know.
I guess final thoughts then. So I guess I'm curious is that I mean, I still feel the same. You know, it's not a perfect show, but you know, it's entertaining, and clearly, it got the people talking all over the world.
I don't know if I would call
I know
it...
you two did not like it for a long time, but what ultimately made you change your mind?
Again, I never thought it was terrible. I think a lot of my issues with it is how it's being talked about in Western media. We haven't really talked about how the reception of this, because we went on a tangent on Alice in Borderland. Mm-hmm. The thing I will say is that this show has had a very massive emergence in the West. And that's good. I think that, like, it's good for Americans to be exposed to different kinds of media. It's something we desperately need. Dear God.
And anything more than just Asian media too,
just
you know.
Any kind of media.
Ideally, we should try
any kind of media.
The whole entire world.
If we start with Asian media, because that's the thing that's breaking through right now between Parasite last year and Squid Game this year. That's the beginning. Yeah. Sure. Open your eyes, America. There's media from all over the world. Let's begin.
There is a thing I will say about that I don't love, because there's this idea that any Asian media needs to have some type of Western seal of approval on it before it is good. And that's the thing that I hate about it.
I highly disagree with that.
No. This show, having consumed a lot of K-dramas, honestly, I prefer K-dramas that are not made, because this was sort of made with the somewhat of intent to appeal to a Western audience.
I think all of the Netflix-specific K-dramas are made with that in mind, too, I think the Netflix-specific K-dramas are made with a Western audience in mind.
Not even just Western, just honestly, a more worldwide appeal,
the thing. If you want a show that has a weirdly similar theme, but I think is infinitely better, watch Extracurricular.
Yeah.
Extracurricular,
I do want to watch that.
That's a better show. Way better show.
I don't want to tell you anything about this show. Genuinely.
Y'all talked about that too.
I love that.
That's such a good
show. That show is so good. It's not even in my, like, top 10 K-dramas, but it's very well done. I think it could appeal to a Western market very well. It's a kind of show that has a grit to it, that has an edge to it, that Americans would love, but it's very much a K-drama.
Yeah.
So very much a K-drama.
It was
not made for an American audience at all. If you want a romance, Crash Landing on You is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going specifically with things that you can watch on Netflix right now.
There's so many of them.
Is
on
Sky
Netflix.
Castle on Netflix?
No.
Oh.
It might be,
because I want to watch that one.
I don't think it is. No.
I know Mr. Sunshine
is. I haven't seen that, but I hear it's very good. Another thing is, like, there's some C-dramas on Netflix. If you want some C-dramas, Meteor Garden, very good place to start, very cute. If you want, like, lighthearted romances, they have that too. There's just so many things on Netflix that, like, if you want an absolute ridiculous lighthearted romance, Cinderella and the Four Knights is on Netflix. That show's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many good Korean shows on Netflix that I think are a better representation of Korean,
And this is the thing I dislike about Squid Game and it getting so much popularity, and this being because it got so popular in the West, and now it's, like, just objectively decided that it's good, is because K-drama fans will oftentimes recommend, like, so many shows and just get completely disregarded by anyone because people think Asian media is stupid, and people hear the word K-drama and they think every single show that it is like some rich CEO falls in love with a poor girl, and that's all they think it is.
Honestly, those are great. Love those shows. Love that trope.
But literally the people who say that have literally no idea the, like, just complete vastness of, like, K-dramas and C-dramas and literally everything else going on.
Oh, yeah.
It's like saying anime's only just Pokemon.
Exactly. And I do think
like,
that we are losing a lot of, like, Strangers from Hell is on Netflix.
Yeah.
The Guest is on Netflix. Like, you have so many, something short like Hymn of Death is on Netflix. There is dozens of shows on Netflix right now that I think are a better representation of what is, because especially current K-dramas. Sure, K-dramas 15 years ago were that kind of boring, like, CEO, rich man,
but we've made
thing.
Such a, like,
there's
had a complete development since then,
They're so good, and they're so, like, well-produced. They have such good budgets. They're gorgeous. They're easy to watch. They tell a complete story. You don't have to sit here and watch 10 years.
Because that's a good thing with them, is they're not written for multiple seasons, so you don't have the garbage thing that Western shows do where they lose the plot after a season because they don't know what to do with it anymore.
Side note, I just find it so funny that people are like, second season. I'm just like, clearly none of these people have seen Korean TV.
No,
because then you would know that it only be one season.
That's not what we do. Yeah.
I know.
I just think that this show, it can do great good. It can do great good for the K-drama industry the same way Parasite could have.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I don't want K-dramas to just turn into trying to make another Squid Game.
And I also don't want K-dramas
or
to
turn
become...
into #edgy show. Because essentially, if you look at Parasite and Squid Game, it's essentially, they're both way more, they're both, like, when you think about it, I think a lot more edgier than a lot of other shows and movies that come from Korea in a lot of ways.
I think a lot of the award-winning movies that come from Korea tend to be in that darker genre for sure.
And also that, like, pseudo-horror film.
Yeah.
Because before that, you had Train to Busan, which was the closest thing, and that was more...
What was the Wailing also was another one I can think of. Yeah.
The Host.
Handmaiden's dark, or Agashi's dark, but, like, it's different. It's from the same person who did Old Boy, but like it's not the same tone as. But it's not the same tone as Old Boy. But, like, it's like a different kind of darker society edge to it. Honestly, but it takes place in the 1930s.
Honestly, I do, honestly, I think I just. Anything else to say? Because I think we can just end this with...
Yeah, my other thing with that is with Parasite. Parasite was clearly a movie that was... It's very Korean. I think that was not at all written in, like, a way to appeal to, like, a Western international audience at all. I think that Squid Game for sure was written with that in mind. I think almost every Netflix, like, exclusive K-drama is written with that in mind these days. And I also don't want K-dramas to turn into... we can only be successful if we cater to, like, the global audience. Because I think that takes away a lot of creativity and a lot of things that are so, like, charming and specific to K-dramas that I don't want to get to the point where, like, we're so focused on that as well.
And there's just a lot of things I love about K-dramas, and I watch... K-dramas are my main source of fiction media.
Mm-hmm.
K-dramas, C-dramas, Thai dramas. And it is because of how different they are to Western media. The minute it starts to lose that, why would I watch that?
Why would I even bother anymore?
Watch an American
I mean,
show?
hell, that's probably why all three of us got into K-pop in the first place.
Exactly.
Because of the fact it was different from Western pop at the time. Even in some ways, still kind of is.
Oh, yeah, no, I think
clearly the influences are there,
K-pop
but, like,
has managed
it's
to
a
keep
different
its individual identity, I think, in a very good way. Because I think especially when BTS started to become so popular, I think all three of us sort of had that kind of apprehension to it being too westernized.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think that it's managed to keep its
their Korean music at least still is very much like kept,
and I think overall
what
K-pop is still managed to be very different and very much its own thing. It's changed and evolved, but more so as its own
I don't think it's any different than, like, BTS evolving, like, as a group. It's, like, obviously their English songs are marketed specifically for that, but I think their Korean music has still been, like, very in the same realm as, like, BTS is, like, normal music. Yeah,
I agree.
So I think that, I mean, we've already done a bunch of recommendations, but I do just think that we could just, like, there's so much on Netflix.
There's so much, especially, recently, that you should watch. There are tons and tons of K-dramas.
Honestly...
I mean, not just even Netflix. Like, if you want to watch Asian media, it's on YouTube. It's on
C-dramas are all over YouTube.
Okay, here's the thing with C-dramas.
C-dramas are all over YouTube.
C-dramas you can watch right now for free. If you never want to pay for a streaming service again, you can entirely consume C-dramas free on YouTube with no issue. You will have them
all over YouTube.
There are Thai dramas on YouTube.
A lot of Thai dramas are on YouTube. So many Thai dramas are on YouTube. But I think that if we're just going to focus on Netflix and people like to consume things on Netflix, some recommendations I will always recommend The Untamed till my dying breath. I am legally obligated. We'll start with that. But if you want, like, good K-dramas that are, I think, better representations of K-drama as a whole... If you want an action thing, Signal's on Netflix.
Signal's really good.
Mr. Sunshine's on Netflix. Mr. Sunshine will teach you something about history sometimes. It's a period piece.
Yeah.
Save Me's on Netflix.
Save Me is so good.
Phenomenal.
Save Me is so good.
Voice is on Netflix. Extracurricular is on Netflix. Crash Landing on You is on Netflix. That's a little more romance heavy, but like still great. Strangers from Hell is on Netflix. Great horror. The Guest is on Netflix. If you want something slightly more, something more supernatural, The Uncanny Counter is good. All of these, I think, are better representations of what K-dramas can be. Mine is on Netflix. I mean, I would recommend The Penthouse or Sky Castle first, but if you're only looking for Netflix shows, Mine is good.
Yeah.
What else is here? Itaewon Class is, I hear, good. Hospital Playlist if you want a medical show. It's Okay to Not Be Okay is not my favorite.
The Reply series, even?
I don't think the Reply series
97.
is on Netflix, is it?
No, they were on Netflix.
They're not anymore.
I think they still might be. Oh, they aren't?
Not that I'm finding.
Oh, that's sad. But yeah, they were.
What else
they
is
were
here?
there.
Oh, Hotel Del Luna's on Netflix
Hotel
now.
Del
That
Luna's
one's really
here.
nice. That's a nice, like, more
cute.
fantasy show.
Yeah,
Is IU in that one?
She is.
IU plays the main girl on that
Mhm.
one. If you want zombies, Sweet Home. But Sweet Home's entirely made for an American audience, so, like, that's whatever. What else is there?
Isn't Kingdom a zombie
Kingdom
show?
is also on Netflix, yeah.
That's also
like a period
piece
zombie
too,
show, yeah. Oh, well, so I've looked up a lot of the Netflix exclusive K-dramas. A lot of them are alien and zombie based. Like, I would say like a good 40% of them alien and zombie based.
If you want something more military focused, DP is only 6 episodes and I hear very good.
But yeah, that's all about the Korean military. So
that's all about the Korean military.
Mm-hmm.
If you want some like period shows, Rookie Historian, very good. Highly recommend. Eunwoo's in that.
I also recommend Busted as like a jump into like Korean variety show without jumping like full force into it because it is still like slightly scripted, but I have massive fun with that show.
Oh yeah, that's very fun. And if you want to like open yourself a little bit more up to things that are not like to period pieces, I hear My Country the New Age is very good. It's actually very short. There's a lot of Korean Rookie Historian's a period piece. My Sassy Girl's a period piece. There's a lot of period pieces on Netflix, but I know are harder sells for an American audience. What else is there? If you are a fan of the, what is his name? Designated Survivor. There is a Designated Survivor Korean version. You're a big fan of that.
There is that.
And if you want to, like, expand your horizons a little bit more and try things that are not Korean, there's a lot of Chinese shows also on Netflix.
There are a lot of those recently.
Some highlights. Untamed, Till My Dying Breath. Word of Honor is very good. Those are both period pieces. You can also do Accidentally in Love. I find that hilarious.
Love 020 is on there.
Love 020 is there. The King's Avatar. It's about esports. If anyone's into video games, very good. Highly recommend. It's the only reason I care at all about. It's a sport right there. Prince of Tennis, if you're an anime fan, has a drama adaptation. Try that. There's just so many shows that I would recommend over. If you're an old FX fan, Victoria was in a show called Find Yourself. I can just keep going. There's so many on here that are good, and I think that people need to expand your horizons a little bit. Try out something that's a more traditionally a K-drama. Or a C-drama. Or something like that. They're very good. Anyone got anything else?
I mean, I guess a couple other movies I think of at the top of my head. You know, I keep sprinkling it throughout there, but Handmaid's Tale, if you want, because I see on like Letterboxd and stuff is a pretty critically acclaimed film.
You can get that on Amazon
Prime. That's on Amazon, but do not watch that film with your parents.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Do not watch.
They're very sexually charged.
You can watch all these K-dramas with your parents, no problem.
Yeah, don't watch Handmaiden with your parents, but still, nonetheless, a very good film. Especially if you want to see a really good acting debut from Kim Tae-ri, that is an acting debut.
Yeah,
that is an acting debut.
Is Train to Busan still on Netflix?
But yeah,
it is.
And then Old Boy is a classic. Definitely highly recommend if you want more of that, like, you know, gritty.
That is also
stuff.
on. I think Amazon. I
think it's on Amazon. Yeah.
I don't know. Where you can watch the original Old Boy.
The movie.
They're definitely on
Along
Prime.
with the Gods, I think either on Amazon or Hulu at some point in time. I think that's a really good movie.
Yeah. Netflix's movie selections are mostly zombies.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even have Train to Busan anymore. They have Alive. Which,
yeah, Along with the Gods is on Amazon Prime.
I watched Alive. Alive is
fine.
All right. It's solid.
I would recommend Train to Busan before I'd recommend Alive.
Yeah.
Personally.
But if you are going to watch it, I'd probably say, I mean, I haven't seen Train to Busan because I want to, but I haven't yet. But
very good.
Alive isn't a bad, like, one night thing to watch.
Yeah, it's
all
fine.
right. You know,
I would watch that with friends. It's more like a fun, friend thing.
What's her name?
Prison
What's her
Playbook is on Netflix, which I didn't
What's her
realize.
face? She's a famous actress, like Park
Shin-hye.
What's
Park
her?
Shin-hye.
Park Shin-hye. She's in it. Yeah.
Don't find her to be a good actress.
I do not like Park Shin-hye.
No, but she gets plastered everywhere.
She does.
Park Shin-hye has her
dramas.
You know, Park Shin-hye has a bunch of very
I find her very like cardboard personally.
None of them are particularly great for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, she's like the one of the like common actors.
She's in a lot of things for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I just think that like if you're gonna just start somewhere and go from there, there's so many different options. And if it clicks with
TLDR, the world of cinema out there is huge.
So big.
Hell, there's even samurai films that I've watched. Like, you can find a lot of those on YouTube even.
Oh,
a lot of them are in black and white.
I like to just point out that if you never want to give corporations your money again, there are free C-dramas on YouTube that are 70 episodes long. You never have to give anyone your money again.
Assuming no one takes those out.
No, they're
up there officially. They're there officially, yeah.
With English translations.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Official English subs. Fully legal. It's great.
That's where I watch The Untamed, I watched them on YouTube, so.
You can watch The Untamed on YouTube, on Netflix.
And it's like really one of the most available C-dramas.
One of the most available shows
But
of all time.
You know what else you can also watch on YouTube for free? Every single Bob Ross's The Joy of Painting. Get on it, people.
Sure.
I'm just saying.
That's also
would also highly recommend that.
Would also recommend Bob Ross's The Joy of Painting. Yeah. Why not?
If you're bored and you just want to watch a man paint, there you go.
Sure.
More interesting than watching paint
Speaking
dry on
of
the
which,
wall.
if you've seen Chuang 2021, you can also watch all of Two Moons 2 for free on YouTube.
Oh, yes.
If you're here
for our boy 9. Alright. So this has been Squid Game, and also many other shows as well in the process. If you're listening to us on YouTube, we are also on all major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you're listening to us there, we also have a YouTube channel, the Slappin Kpop podcast, where we post all of our podcast episodes along with fun clip videos once a week as well. And then we also have a Twitter and an Instagram account, which are linked in the description of every episode. And yeah, it's not November yet, but this is officially the start of Asian Drama November, so we will be there for the rest of October through November. So yay.
By the way, before we end, our next 2 episodes will have massive amounts of wrong information.
So much wrong information in the next 2 episodes.
We made them in like April.
We filmed them in like June and July or something, so there's just massive amounts of wrong information there, but I really can't get around it, so that's gonna stay. So
it's just what we're doing now. I apologize, but like take nothing of what we are promising you in those 2 episodes at face value.
Yeah.
We are not doing.
So we are gonna promise you Let's Fight Ghosts, and we are going to promise you Criminal Minds. We are no longer promising you Descendants of the Sun. That is no longer being covered.
Yeah, we are no longer doing that.
Yep.
We are promising you also Voice.
Voice will get done as well.
Descendants of the Sun is not happening.
Descendants of the Sun will not be covered this month at all. Sorry for that in advance, but if you're looking forward to it, but now you got a week in advance notice for that, so.
Yeah.
Yep. We will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.